Hey, it's Wolfie. You all need to look at what's going on. You heard me. It's time to look.
Yeah.
Mates have been trying to warn you for months now. Time's running out. Tick-tock, motherfuckers. Apes ain't leaving.
Hey, what's up, Macellorian? Yeah.
Cube speeder, roll the bell, yeah. Cause AMC is a movie, yeah. Cause AMC is a movie. Cube speeder, roll the bell, yeah. Cause AMC is a movie, yeah. Cause AMC is a movie. Get your hands up, get your hands up, get your bands up, get your bands up, get your shares up, get your shares up. AMC is a movie, reservation move please. When it comes to fourth quarter, kicking like Bruce Lee. Hedges wanna screw me, but they can never do me. When the shorts cover, I'ma pull up like excuse me. What you said?
Alright.
Dog with fleas?
What?
Excuse me.
Fuck out of here, man. What the fuck?
Yeah. We gon' see about that.
Yeah.
Closed mouth don't get fed, but you asking for dog food. Yeah. Come on. Let's go. Cube speeder. Roll the bell, yeah. Cause AMC is a movie, yeah. Cause AMC is a movie. Cube speeder. Roll the bell, yeah. Cause AMC is a movie, yeah. Cause AMC is a movie.
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Silence is golden. Silence is golden. You heard the message. Silence is golden. Let him eat crow.
We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so rich.
I want my fucking
so goddamn
money.
rich. We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so rich. So goddamn rich. Get that money printer. Yelling. Yeah. Get that money printer. Kenny. Get that money printer. Jay. Powell. Get that money printer. Yeah. Janet yelling, never telling, but she always fucking selling BS. She don't wanna see us, let her alone, free us. Powell acting foul, time to throw in the towel. Dark money, bringing power, reverse repo by the hour. 100 bands, 2 tickers, plenty goons, plenty strippers. Amy moons, I'm a tipper. I am the butcher, I will sticker in increments through the lid exchange. I am the butcher, bringing the pain when it's over. Please remember the name like I ran through thought. You're not walking the same. Damn. We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so rich. So goddamn rich. We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so rich. So goddamn rich. Get that money printer. Yelling. Yeah. Get that money printer. Kenny. Get that money printer. Jay. Powell. Get that money printer. Yeah.
Go get my shit, man. I'm not playing with you, motherfuckers. Go get my motherfucking money. Cover them short. Stop propping the market. I know you gotta do this for midterms. We know what's up. I'm going to the store. Okay. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. Just be safe, okay? I promise. Okay, be safe. Come on, Fido. Let's go.
There was a boy full of dreams. It sounds so good, but it's not what it seems. As he's walking his dog down the street, a semi-truck knocked him off of his feet. Save Billy, 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 save Billy, 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 save Billy, 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 save Billy, 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 Billy. The dogs in town are looking around. They're betting that Billy won't make a sound. There is a way to save the day. APE is the way. Save Billy, 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 save Billy, 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 save Billy, 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 save Billy, 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 yeah. Go.
Breaking news, a child was just hit in the road by a semi-truck. Wow. It seems like he's not going to make it. Yes, you heard that right. Wow. Even though there's everything that's saving this poor child,
He's safe,
the doctors still believe that he's still not going to make it.
Out of here.
So what do we do?
Save Billy, 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 save Billy, 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 save Billy, 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 save Billy, 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 yeah.
After a year and some change of being in a coma, little Billy has made it out his coma.
Wow.
That's right. Despite everything that the doctors were saying, little Billy still had a chance, and a little bit of the transfusion worked, and here we are.
We need more of that.
Now, little Billy could go to your local movie theater, maybe specifically an AMC movie theater.
Fuck it, let's get some popcorn.
And he can make it. He can actually go watch a movie and see everything he wants to see. Yeah, he's owed that.
He is owed that. He's a stick
You
figure.
deserve a little Billy, don't you?
Yeah, I want to draw one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
So do yourself a
Oh, I'm
favor.
not in the Spacecall. I'm on
Yeah.
YouTube.
And just
Save Billy, Billy, Billy. Yeah, Coors Light. You know what it is. Haha. Moon. I just want a Matt Kors fanny pack. Don't you want a Matt Kors fanny pack?
I'm not in
I just
Spacecall.
want a Matt Kors fanny pack. Don't you want a Matt Kors fanny pack? LT, great, get into the money. Yeah, I got adjustable straps, right size, a small pocket on the inside. Yeah, I know you like that. That's right. You can go to a festival. Yeah, or even vacation. Or be like me. Just keep your hands free. I just want a Matt Kors fanny pack. I just want a Matt Kors fanny pack. Don't you want a Matt Kors fanny pack? I just want a Matt Kors fanny pack. I just want a Matt Kors fanny pack. I just want a Matt Kors fanny pack. Don't you want a Matt Kors fanny pack? I just want a Matt Kors fanny pack. $30.99. Yeah, you can look so fine. Yeah, you can look so mean. Yeah, in your new mom jeans. Yeah, water resistant. Yeah, got top zippers. Yeah, with two sliders. It's customizable. Yeah. I just want a Matt Kors fanny pack. Don't you want a Matt Kors fanny pack? I just want a Matt Kors fanny pack. I do. Don't you want a Matt Kors fanny pack? Yeah. Don't you want to sell your shares? Don't you want to subscribe? I do. Yeah. Don't you want to spin it on me right now? Super chat. I just want a Matt Kors fanny pack.
Don't you want a Mac course fanny pack? I just want a Mac course fanny pack. Don't you want a Mac course fanny pack? I just want a Mac course fanny pack. Don't you want a Mac course fanny pack? I just want a Mac course fanny pack. I just want a Mac course fanny pack. Yeah. LT grade course light. Yeah. You know what it is. Guys, don't forget to click and subscribe. This song was also sponsored by the bartender. Yeah. So make sure you tip the bartender. We got something going on. I need that money. I just want a Mac course fanny pack. Don't you want a Mac course fanny pack? Yeah. Come and get the joggers. Don't you like the Mac course LT grade joggers? Yeah.
That is great, because people were telling me that they couldn't hear me on the last one, so I had to close it out and restart it. I wasn't sure what was going on. But yeah, thank you so much, April. I really appreciate you.
No problem. Thanks for what you do.
It's the least I can do. Seeing as how I'm going to be filthy fucking rich and all, at least hopefully maybe some apes can educate themselves and come along for the ride, if that's what they want to do, right?
Absolutely.
I've always said,
a lot of you.
wow, thank you. And yeah, and that's vice versa. I've learned a lot from the community as well, from everybody in the community. It's been amazing working with all these fellow retail investors.
Let's go.
But yeah, if you guys have any questions right now, I've had a lot of questions about T90 and things like that. Because it's just, Twitter's just crashing automatically. So yeah, let me see here if you guys can hear me.
I will stay up until you get a speaker and just let you know that I can hear you.
I appreciate you. You know what? If you don't mind, I'll make you a co-host. Is that cool?
Yep, that's
You rock,
cool.
April. Thank you, Lady Ape. Yeah, thank you everybody for coming. I had a really fun debate with Matt Kohl'S yesterday. I had a blast. Thank you, Lady Ape. I don't want to listen to myself. I better mute that shit over there. I had an absolute blast, even though the entire time he was trying to bait me into, bait me into all sorts of things, into incriminating myself, into making mistakes, twisting my words, trying to put words in my mouth, saying I said this or making guarantees about that. It was really hilarious. It was for me an obvious attempt by an amateur manipulator. I'm pretty positive he had somebody in his ear in a separate earpiece or typing things out to him. That's why he kept asking me to slow down. He couldn't get enough feedback from his handlers. But I thought that shit was hilarious. I know the sound's delayed on YouTube, people. You guys are listening to me on a Twitter space call through my phone, through the computer, being played back after I speak. So I'm going to say the words here. You're going to go through my computer and you guys are going to hear it on YouTube probably several seconds after I've actually said it. So I apologize if that's annoying to you. You can just don't watch the video. Not a whole lot going on right now here anyways. But taking a look at AMC right now. AMC won that beautiful derivatives basket. I know a lot of people don't understand what that is, but AMC 1 is the real value of AMC and APE combined, because that's where the value of the company lies. It's not just AMC. It's AMC and APE. That's why you received, if you were previously a shareholder before the dividend split, that's why you received a 1-for-1 share of APE for every share of AMC that you had. Because if you had 100 shares of AMC, you now have 100 AMC and 100 APE. Now, that being the case, that comes together in a price of a derivatives basket called AMC1, which is currently up 12% at $9.19. AMC's up 13% at $8.17 right now. And APE is flat on the day Now, let me just resort this. APE is like completely flat on the day, although you have to note this. This is the most important thing. It's up 2.19% at just under $1. It's at 99 cents. It's a really manipulative thing that's going on here by the algorithms and the high frequency traders. What's going on here is today, the volume has been 81.2 million shares of APE have been traded. The average daily volume is 17 million. So we are over 400% higher on the daily volume today than we are usually on APE. And as you can see, we went here from 90 cents, shot up throughout the day to $1.12, $1.13, and are back down to 99 cents because there's a massive amount of manipulation happening here. You know, some guys like, you know, Matt Kohl'S and them might tell you that that's not the case, you know, but retail's not barcoding this stock, ladies and gentlemen. Retail's not barcoding the stock. Retail cannot barcode a stock. That's not the way the things work. You know, take a look at this. That look like retail to you? That look like retail? No, absolutely not. That's not fucking retail. That's institutional, high-frequency trading algorithms, plain and simple. That's why you have all these long periods of time, even yesterday, all the way from 12:18 Central through 13:15, 13:16, even though there was a massive buy candle here, absolutely massive buy candle at 13:07, the price didn't move. See, straight up, straight down, because that's how dark pools work. They hide, they suppress prices, and they distort price discovery. Distort price discovery is the best possible way to put it. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, I really think a lot of this, that's what's going on today, is directly related to the T90 regulations. If I'm wrong, whatever, I don't really fucking care if I'm wrong. All I know is that the stock's moving, and that's all that matters to me. I don't care if there's a merger, a buyout, an acquisition. I don't care if there's shorts going bankrupt. I don't care if Evergrande or Phase 6 or, you know, Chinese collateral or Russian collateral or Iranian collateral or your mom's collateral is defunct. The fact of the matter is that these stocks are moving. And that's all I really care about.
Hey, boss, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
My man, good.
Hey, man, I got a question for you, man. I've been wanting to get some of those AMC 1 options, but the thing I can't wrap my mind around, if those are options that existed before APE was spun out, then how come the in-the-money price isn't the combination of APE and AMC? How come it's just going off of AMC?
Hold that thought one second, brother. Something just happened here. Everything
Tweaked out on my phone again. Just some strange reason. My apologies for the technical difficulties. I probably should have restarted my phone right before. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that now, April. You guys give me like 60 seconds, and I'll be back with a fresh restart because this is ridiculous. My apologies.
Be so rich. We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so rich. So goddamn rich. We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so rich. So goddamn rich. Get that money printer. Yelling. Yeah. Get that money printer. Kenny. Ha. Get that money printer. Jay. Powell. Get that money printer. Yeah. Janet yelling, never telling, but she always fucking selling DS. She don't wanna see us, let her alone. Free us on Powell, acting foul, time to throw in the towel. Dark money, bringing power, reverse repo by the hour. 100 bands, 2 tickers, plenty booms, plenty strippers. Amy moves, I'm a tipper, I am the butcher, I will sticker in increments through the lid exchange. I am the butcher, bringing the pain when it's over. Please remember the name like a ran through life, you're not walking the same. We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so rich. We're gonna be so
Hi
rich.
everyone, how's it going on this side?
We're gonna be so
Going
rich.
on, Morgan.
We're gonna be so rich. So goddamn rich. Get that money printer. Yelling. Yeah. Get that
Now,
money printer.
I did have a question that I've been meaning to ask now that marijuana has been getting a little bit more attention about being legal. How do you do? Yeah, first time caller, long time listener, first off. Boss, I did have a question about how can I improve my investing based on the weed that I smoke. Is there a strain that I can choose that would make me not suck so much? I'm losing a lot. I've almost lost my shirt.
Oh shit, Morgan Freeman, that's phenomenal. Ah, wow. You could start off with some Pineapple Express. That shit'll get you high as hell. You will be a phenomenal investor if you can't can't think.
1 second. 1 second. Let me get a pen. I'm gonna write this down.
I love it.
Pineapple. Is there any kind of slang spelling to that? Just so I know. I don't want to get any of that swag shit. You know?
No, you don't want that swag, man. You don't want that swag.
Okay.
That's great,
Pineapple
dude.
Express, like the movie, right?
Yeah. Get some Durban Poison if you're really feeling adventurous. Shit might put you on your ass, but you'll be so relaxed, you won't care what happens with the price. You'll just be thinking all mental and no emotion. It'll be fucking phenomenal, man.
All right, exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what I need. See, I have these call options and shit, and I set a limit, and then I start looking at it and go, let's change it up. And then, there goes the money. It usually, after I sell my contract for a cheap price, well, the price breaks out, just like my old buddy, Andy Dufresne.
Oh,
and instead of Andy calling through 500 yards of shit, it's my wallet.
That's fucking awesome, man. I'm sorry to hear you're having trouble with investing. I don't provide financial advice, but I do wish you the best and hopefully some quality retail shop.
Oh, thank you. Just one last thing. MILF Squad for life. MILF Squad forever. I'm gonna pump and come. Pump and come. Good day.
That's fucking great. That's phenomenal. Stacks, do you have a question, bro?
Yeah, man, I'm just over here laughing. My question is about the AMC 1 options. Correct me if I'm wrong, those are the options that existed before APE was spun out. So with that, in turn, you get 100 AMC and 100 APE if you exercise those options. My question is, if those are the combined two, how come the in the money price is only based off of the AMC ticker price and not the combination of the two? That's what's keeping me from buying any, because it kind of seems like they're playing games with the premium price and they're just robbing premiums from people. And I can't get an answer from anybody. I've asked several people that, and I'm not a options trader, but I would like to acquire more if I could, especially at these prices. But I don't understand why those two tickers aren't combined for the in the money price for AMC 1.
You're echoing pretty bad.
I see that.
Yeah, your robot involved.
Right, check. It's the same. I'm having the same feedback. It's kind of ridiculous. My apologies.
Man, they don't want you to be heard, brother.
Man. I'm getting brother here. They're attacking shit. One. Sit at my screen.
Man, that's crazy.
This is
yeah, you sound like you're in a can of soda, bro.
I know. I'm gonna probably restart.
Okay.
Fuck.
As your mic now, you sorted, Marcel? You good? Testicle 1 2.
I think he's restarting Rafiki. What's up, bro?
Hey, what's happening, Stacks? How you doing, my man? You good?
Yes, I am. Always good. Especially when I'm with friends and family and fellow co-owners. I love it.
Oh yeah, I've missed that deep deep sultry voice where you could almost seduce me, even though I'm not gay.
Hey man, it ain't got nothing compared to your British accent. The women like that British accent.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I sound like an idiot, to be fair. You know when you hear your own voice on recording and you're like, oh, is that what I really fucking sound like? That's whack. That's mad whack.
I can't stand hearing my own voice on recording. It doesn't sound right to me.
But yeah, I started a space a minute ago called Philosophy in it, and then I DM'd someone to join it, and they was like, Marcel's hosting his space. I was like, oh shit, I completely fucking forgot. But there's a few things I want to bring up when the butcher comes back. So
yeah, I don't think they want him heard, man. He keeps restarting and they keeps roboting on him real bad. They don't want it out. Matt Coors fanny packs over the it's over the transmit button.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't even come up to like spew hate towards the other side. I want to keep it as neutral and what's the word? As neutral and less egotistical as possible in this sense, because there is only information, and when you start applying ego and pissing contest and everyone wielding their penises within all of that, it kind of just gets obscured and fucked up. So I'm gonna keep that out of it, even though there's a lot of things I agree and disagree with. You know, I hope we can have that conversation today, because I've got a lot of respect for Marcel, man. I think the dude shit up. I like it. Welcome back. You good to go?
Hey, Rafiki, if you guys can hear me okay, if it doesn't sound like just stupid.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell was going on there, but that's the second time I've had to do that. So my apologies, folks. Yeah.
No, you sound good, my man. You sound good. I'm just going to have a piss. Bear with me.
Yeah, no problem at all, man. Do your thing. Yeah, Rafiki, since you were mentioning about the AMC1 derivatives basket, you know, it's the combined price of AMC and APE on AMC1. That's what the price is based off of, you know, and that's why when one moves, like AMC's up 15%, AMC's up 13.6%, and you know APE is up like just a couple percentage right now, even though it's on APE is going on like 80 million volume now compared to the daily average of like 17 million. You know, so it is supposed to be based off of both of them, and from what I'm seeing, being the AMC is up 14.5%. APE is up like 2%, and AMC1's being up around 13.3%. It does appear to be all good in that aspect. You know, it does seem like they are, like the options would be based off both. Does that make sense?
Okay, because in my, you know, and from a layman looking at it, to me, you would just combine the ticker prices to come up with the price of the AMC1 and the money.
That is what's going on.
That's the way I look at it.
You're correct.
But it doesn't.
See, like AMC's at right now, like let me just take a quick peek at it. AMC's at $8.29 and APE's at $1, and AMC1's at $9.30 right now. You know, the derivatives basket. So.
Correct.
Yeah.
So $9 should be in the money for AMC1, correct?
Yes, sir.
But it's not.
I see what you mean. Are you looking at like contracts, $9 contracts on AMC1 that are not showing us in the money?
Yeah, if you look at it, you would think that the $9 contract should be in the money if you combine both ticker prices.
Yeah.
And that's what's baffled me this whole time. But nobody seems to be able to give me an answer as to why. And that's why I haven't bought any, because I feel like they're stealing.
I wonder if that's just the broker. You know, like I'm not positive, but I'm not sure what broker you're using, but I'm just wondering if that might be the broker, the reporting of the price of the contract, or what data they're showing, or the speed at which they're showing it. You know, if it's like real-time data or 15 minutes delayed, level 1, level 2, well, which wouldn't really make any difference on the option contract themselves for level 1 and 2 NBBO data. They'd be more based off of the data plus the implied volatility. So yeah, that's a little weird, but I would probably chalk it up to the broker software is likely unable to handle it, and so it's only showing you one or both. But I would bet you any money, like I mean, I don't want to say this, but any good broker, if you call them right now and be like, hey, is AMC1 at 9:30, and can I exercise my $9 contracts in the money? I'm not telling you to do it, but I'm saying if you called them and just ask them, they would probably tell you that they're in the money. You know what I mean? Because they can see it on their end.
Okay. So, but say this is exercise day,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody just doesn't believe that they're in the money. They just figured they lost their premium, correct? When they could go in and exercise. If that's the way it looks on, if it looks the same way it does on the two platforms I'm looking at on everybody else's platform, it just doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
I just want somebody to ease my mind that there isn't something else that they're fucking around with.
I can't say that, my friend. You know, we know that these guys are really good at playing with everything that they can. So I don't think it would be a bad idea just to give the broker a call and let them know, hey, I got these $9 contracts and AMC one's at this. Are they in the money or not? Because the website's showing me it's not. So I want to hear it directly from you, the representative, you know, of your company.
Well, Marcel, the one thing that I found really interesting and profound about your conversation with Matt Kohl'S, and believe me, it was and I'm going to try and approach this from the utmost neutrality and respect, right? It was a frustrating conversation to listen to from the start to the finish, because both of you made good points, good and valid points, and because it was just you and him in the conversation, there weren't no one else able to provide any outsider input, right? Which I think is fundamentally important to a conversation, to have outsider input, because bear this in mind, Marcel, right? There is people on my Twitter feed that have 2 followers and people that have 10,000 followers, and sometimes the person with 2 followers provides the most deepest fucking information, and it blows my mind, right? So there's this weird taboo of, oh, you got to have so many followers to provide good and valid information. But anyway, I'll get to my point. You brought up this thing about basket derivatives. And basket derivatives is a fucked up thing. And if we travel back in time, if we traverse back in time and look at the runs that were happening on the initial, right? So you had stocks like Nokia. And this is an important part of the conversation. How the fuck does a stock like Nokia, with an incredibly large float like that, run out of thin air on no fucking news whatsoever? And it has a lot to do with what you talked about in regards to the basket derivatives. Because the same way we want to capitalize in numerous amount of stocks, a retail investor will buy them separately, right? Whereas within derivatives, you can have a basket of short-sold things. It's almost like a beefed up deal from your major brokerage on fucking steroids. So you can now leveragely short a basket of things across the board. You pick them, they'll give it to you. They'll give it to you. So that's why we saw tickers like Nokia on no fucking news and a humongous float running the same way AMC did and GME was and BlackBerry and various other tickers. But Nokia being the talking point, and this is what makes basket derivatives very relevant. And as incredible as I think the conversation was, it weren't really touched upon in depth. And a lot of the shit that Matt Kohl'S had to say, I'll be honest with you, Marcel, for me, it was a really indoctrinative, predetermined, this is what the system wants you to know. So once you know it, regurgitate it till your heart is content kind of shit. That's what he was spewing out, rather than the various mechanics. And there was one space that Soika held a long time ago, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with who Soika is, but he had Martin Shkreli in his room, and this dude got grilled about the lack of understanding in regards to what derivatives are actually capable of within the mainstream system. And, he played it down. He made it really dumb and stupid. He's like, yeah, no, you're right. Derivatives can really be misused, but he never touched on to what extent. He sort of made out like he didn't know. But I think the basket swaps that you was talking about is probably the one thing that stuck out the most for me. And that's why we saw tickers like Nokia run, which have a humongous fucking float. Shit loads of shares in the float. So to make that shit move, there's got to be something really dodgy going on, because you was right in another thing that you said. Retail don't move the markets. Yeah, we only equate to about 20% of the volume per day, which is a large amount, to say the least, which is why we experience the utmost amount of fucking suppression and bullshit within alternate trading systems and internalizers every fucking day. Mainstream media, for the last couple of years, have always tried to convince retail that, well, what you like, you shouldn't really like. When has that ever been a problem or a notion in the past? It never has. So that's another commonsensical telltale sign. But that's what I wanted to bring up, bro. The basket swaps is an important thing because from my theoretical discovery, when one goes, in theory, they all start fucking going. They all start behaving abnormally. So there's been periods of time where GME has experienced large, vast quantities of volume on no fucking news, and AMC has done fuck all. And then there was a lag period where the market, you know, has a tank, the DXY goes down, nothing happens, and then a day later, everything starts fucking ripping. Like there is a really noticeable pattern within the market. And what I'm trying to reiterate and point out is the DXY goes down, right? The VIX goes up, nothing really happens. And then there's a lag period where you get an absolutely insane, fucking insane day trading opportunity across the board to make a little bit of skrilla. Like we had 20% based on that observance, right? Just on AMC alone. APE was running pretty hard. There was various meme stocks running pretty hard. And you look at some of the predominantly institutionally owned stocks, and they ain't really doing a lot. And I ain't really talking about your blue chips, more towards the mid-cap spectrum, but there is major observable patterns and a lot of conversations that should have been had when you was talking to Matt Kohl'S, but the major part of the conversation sort of revolved around whether AMC and APE is a good or a bad investment. And I think that's where you kind of lost it, my man. And I mean that respectfully, Marcel, because I really like what you do and what you have to say, and I respect it incredibly. But the large portion of that conversation was lost by arguing whether AMC and APE is a good or a bad investment. And that was on his part of the narrative where he was directing the conversation, opposed to market mechanics and manipulation, which is where I wanted to hear and see the conversation go through more, if that makes sense.
You know, I have to. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, my man, I
Okay.
can hear you, bro.
I have to, politely disagree on the sense that where you think I lost it, and then that's okay. You know, like I think that I didn't lose that conversation as regards to whether
I don't mean you lost it, like not you personally. Don't get it twisted. I just mean like as a whole, if that makes sense.
Like the conversation was lost by his deflections and attempts to trip me up and attempts to make it look like AMC and APE are a bad investment. You know, I mean, he's trying to say that he's pro AMC, but at the same time, he's trying to knock AMC and everything that Adam Aaron is doing and their fundamentals. Which, if you look at them at face value, I could see how one would not understand that. Even though AMC ran at a loss last quarter, they bought up like 46 fucking theaters, and they closed out like 107 theaters. And those 46 are already outperforming the 107 that were closed. So yeah, they had a cash burn, but they also brought on a bunch of new theaters. They were rolling out their popcorn in the retail stores business. I was really happy with it overall. But APE, I definitely would love to talk to you about this. And I really think that in the short term, I think APE is really a big threat to the short hedge funds, because a lot of them were forced to, basically deliver the deliver the APE derivative, right? The APE dividend, I meant to say, not derivative. And
just a quick one, Marcel. I'm really sorry to cut you off, brother. The dude under the app of Market Make It, he's a really good dude, and I don't do this often, but he can't join this room because he's blocked. So I don't know if you can find it in your heart to unblock him. I don't know
what's his name, so I can go find him real quick and unblock him.
Yeah, thank you, my man. I appreciate that. His at is Market Make It 7. So at Market Make It 7. If you can find him and unblock his ass. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, no, he's a good dude. I can vouch for that.
Hey, I'm glad to be here, guys. I listen to this stuff every day, and about that Matt Kohl'S conversation, I've heard this question been asked to him repeatedly, and he gives everybody the same answer. About do you still own AMC, and he always refers back to, you can go look at my public account. But is it true whether you own 1 share of a stock versus 1,000 shares of a stock? it's not going to give you how many shares they own. It's just say you're an investor, correct?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't fuck with public because I don't even know if they're an American company, but I'm pretty sure they run shit through paying for order flow. You know, if I'm incorrect on that, well, I'm incorrect. I don't fuck with public, to be honest with you.
Right.
So
That's
that's
just
not
a
really something that would
question
help
for
me, but I'm sorry.
anybody who. No,
Well, the other part of the conversation. Sorry, go ahead, my man. Sorry.
it was just a question pertaining to the information that I know public is a platform that you can see investments, but it's not really saying anything by saying you can look at my public account. You know, it's not you can own one share and that's what people think that you own. That's it.
Yeah, I have to take your word for it, man, because I don't really know anything about public in that sense, you know, like the way that their actual mechanics work, or if you can look up other people's share ownership or whatever. But yeah, like theoretically, it would just probably be a yes or no. To think that that they would show somebody's holdings to another user would be that'd be, you know, probably illegal. I don't know.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, I would assume like there's no broker's going to be telling everybody else like exactly what you own and how many shares of AMC or Apple or Tesla or whatever, you know. So I could imagine maybe it says yes or no, if anything, you know. But yeah, absolutely, bro.
Before Soso goes, I wanted to raise a point as well. Have you ever noticed in any of the spaces where you have a rebuttal or a discourse about anything, the one thing that is failed to be brought up by the disposing party is market mechanics and the manipulation that exists within it. And I'm just going to leave that there, right there. Like it's just something that I've noticed across the board all the fucking time, and it frustrates the granny out of me. But Soso, do your thing, my man.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, bud.
All right. Yeah. I've been listening lately. I don't know what's going on, but I'm excited to the max because everybody start to freak out, and when everybody start to freak out, and everybody's pushing like, oh, this is not a good company. Like yesterday was a Spacecall. I don't know, Matt, whatever his name is. He was telling like, oh, I like to study cults, and this is a cult. Since when he's a cult, expert? How old is he? 25. He's already an expert in cultism. Anyway, the point is, if those guys they just make noise, we have to understand everybody. You make noise, Boss Blonde make noise. Depending what kind of noise you make, makes the difference. Boss Blonde, I like his content. He's true or not, it doesn't matter. If I like what he put there and I do my research and I'm in AMC and APE, is my problem. But those guys from yesterday's Spacecall, they were worried about everybody's money, man, which is the first sign it's a big BS. I don't know if they are paid or not, that's not my problem. The only thing what everybody should wrap around their head at this time when everybody start pushing so badly like, oh, it's a bad investment, oh, it's bad, gonna go bankrupt. Today was a Spacecall, people talking like Cinemark, it's way better. Oh my God, this is better opportunity than AMC. Oh my God, they were pushing Cinemark like is the latest Apple, you know? And AMC gonna go bankrupt maybe 6 months top, 6 months top. That one, it's a big signal that something is about to happen. And I think it doesn't reap because we, as an investors, we have too many people who own too many shares and they have to pay too much money. As soon as enough people, they're going to get out from the play, they're going to let it go. So the fund that they put, for me, works. If some people believe it and they get out, it's their problem. If some people don't believe it and they stay in, it's their problem as well. This is what it's just fascinating. I have no knowledge about the market. I don't know nothing about the fundamentals. I have my own ideas. I'm in real estate, but if I compare what I'm doing in real estate with what's in the stock market and what's going on with the AMC and other stocks, It doesn't matter fundamentals, doesn't matter anything. There are companies there that they have zero debt and they make money and they are cash positive and they are in the ground. It doesn't matter where are the fundamentals for those companies? Nowhere, because
It's a
guess
joke
what?
right
They
now.
trade
It
with
really is.
machines. When they're gonna turn the machines on the way up, that's gonna be way up. Now they are on the way down. It's easy like that for me. So that's it. No value in my discussion, but whatever. I appreciate it.
Yeah, bro, I really appreciate hearing from you. You make some great points. So, like right now, like the markets last year in December of 2021 with a 50 basis point interest rate hike would have just absolutely like fallen apart. But right now, with such high inflation, now everything's just dandy when there's a 50 point instead of a 75 point basis point hike. And the markets rally. It's a complete joke. Yeah, companies like Apple and stuff will come out telling you that they're going to have to reduce the numbers of iPhones that they're projecting to sell in massive amounts because of the recession and Chinese semiconductor, the Foxconn factory of Apple in China that's just falling apart. And then Apple rallies, like that's the ass backwards things that are happening. These blue chips are the market makers and hedge funds babies. They're their number one holdings for a lot of these guys.
It's their Ponzi scheme, dude.
Yeah, you're right. And you can take it from here, Batman. It was great hearing you last night as well. But yeah, if you want to elaborate on that, by all means.
Yeah, I've always figured blue chip stocks are like their hedge against meme stocks. I hate using the word meme stocks, but I think like it's like a seesaw, right? They just pretty much they rip the blue chip stocks and then they pummel the meme stocks down, right? And now in order for the seesaw to go down, you gotta have the blue chip stocks come down for the meme stocks to go up, But yeah,
100%.
Bro, it was interesting talk. And again, we're talking about recession, right? We're talking about Apple. They're doing layoffs, less production. You hear Credit Suisse is laying off people. You see all the banks are having a hard time. Target's having a hard time. They're trying to blame it on people stealing shit. Like it's like if you're looking at it, there's a lot of companies that laying off workers. But again, I brought this up yesterday in the space, and it's weird coming from someone that's supposedly long on AMC. Instead of embracing bullish news about AMC, right? He goes, "No, you're wrong." Or like like everybody's just, "Oh, you're wrong, you're wrong." During a recession, movie theaters do good. Like it, and you can Google it. Don't even take my word. Every time I say something, okay, Google it, search it, look it up. So and call me out if I'm wrong, right?
No, you're not
AMC
wrong.
does good in
People are
recessions.
desperate. Sorry, just to add to your point, they're desperate for entertainment. That's why anytime there's recessions, the amount of beer that bar visits that people do goes through the roof. The amount of entertainment that people seek out. Go ahead, brother.
What happens? You're stressed out. You're fucking tired. You're stressed out. Shit's fucked up, right? What are you gonna do when you're stressed out? Oh, let me watch TV, but I can't stay in one place. I can't stay in front of my TV. I don't want to watch TV. I don't want to go. Oh, you know what? I need a vacation. How much is a vacation? Thousands of dollars. I can't do that. Let me go out and eat some dinner at a fancy restaurant for $2,000, $200, $300. It's too much money, bro. Go to AMC. Let me buy some. Oh, discount Tuesday, $5. Okay. Let me bring the whole family. Let me get some popcorn here. Boom, boom, boom. Get a nice movie, and your whole life is just zoned out, stress free, watching the movie. You're in a different zone, and that's why movie theaters kill it during this time. And when it comes to not only during recession does the movie theaters kill it, but they're killing it also when inflation starts to ramp up. Why? Because everything's costs more money, right? Everything's costing more money. Grocery store, like you go to grocery store, you're trying to fill your shopping cart, bro. It's like fractions of what you could have gotten decades ago, right? And when you go to AMC, when you go to movie theater, the price is it's already set. Like that price it does not move really, right? They've already set their price. It's priced in. Okay, this amount of money per popcorn, per Coca-Cola. It's obviously it's a decent level. It's high, right? But when everything else is ripping in price, right? Inflation, you're like, whatever. Everything costs more money. Let me just go get a bucket of popcorn. It's not a big deal, Again, and it's like a mini vacation. It's a little bit stress free. So what happens during recession? Movie theaters kill it. And then when you look at the content that we have coming up, right? You got Avatar movie coming out in December. You got Super Mario Bros. Movie coming out in January, which is gonna be fire. You got Perfectly Popcorn coming out first 2 quarters of next year. We got the freaking Winnie the Pooh movie. We got a Cocaine Bear. We got a
Hey, Batman.
Transformer movie with a freaking Transformer ape.
Maverick's coming
Dude,
out
we got
again.
solid lineups. You know what
Did
I
you
mean?
see that movie with Transformers? Now, the dude who directed that is called Michael Bay. Now, if you get onto Google and try and find Michael Bay and type in Michael Bay Freemason, right? Type in Michael Bay Freemason on Google and then click the first link that you see, which is freemasoninformation.com, Freemasonry in cinema. Click that link and tell me what happens when you click that link. Please do that for me and tell me what happens, because when I click that link, all that happens is a recurring refreshment of that page and it will not allow me to fucking read it. And there was a reason why I wanted to research exactly what I typed into Google. Michael Bay, Freemason.
Hey,
And
Batman.
there's an incredible amount of knowledge within this realm. You know, that you've got good ones and bad ones. That's all I'm going to say. You've got good ones and bad ones. And these type of people, especially putting out a story like that in a movie like that, you know the good ones and the bad ones. I'll leave. I don't want to get too conspiracy, but yeah.
Hey, Batman. You know why? Movies do good during the times of recession?
Why, Elmo? What's going on, Elmo?
Because somehow heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, can you do that for me though, Batman? Can you go to Google and type in Michael Bay Freemason and click the link and tell me what happens, please?
I'm gonna click. Let me hold on. I gotta go to the other room because I'm not connected to the. I'm connected to the couch battery.
So basically, if you go to Google and type in Michael Bay Freemason, the first link that you should see is a website which is freemasoninformation.com, and the major title
Hold on. Michael Bay, and then what?
Freemason. Michael Bay Freemason. That's it.
Freemason. Okay. It says Freemasoninformation.com education. That
Click that link and tell me what happens.
I get to a page. Freemason information. Maybe you're locked out or something.
Is it readable? Is it readable to you?
Yeah, for me, yeah. It's Freemasonry and cinema, Freemasonry in the movies, Across the Pacific, Affair of the Necklace, and there's just a whole bunch of movies with the Freemasons, I guess.
Well, yeah, I can do a screen. Oh shit, I can do a screen record. So I'm gonna do a screen record and show you exactly what I'm seeing on my end, right? So you can see it for yourself. So it's a couple of seconds worth of screen recording. I've never seen this shit before, so I've done it. I'm
It shows a whole
opposed.
bunch of movies with Freemasonry in it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's a whole bunch of movies with Freemasonry in it.
I have somebody asking a question. So while you guys look at that, give me a minute to find it. It says, ask him to explain the derivative swap collateral for tokenized securities, how they're made, and how long before the tokens need to get recycled or, in a sense, worthless.
Well, those are like total return swaps based off these tokenized securities. So they actually never held this collateral, even though they're supposed to hold it. You can find that on Bitrex's website, for example, on their FAQ about TSOs. But there's no specific amount of time because these contracts could be written in an infinite number of ways. So they could be short, they could be longer contracts, and they could be executed at different prices and stuff. So it's not really so cut and dry. It's a huge amount of fuckery that goes on there. And you guys saw that right after FTX, was declaring bankruptcy and 134 of their companies were going bankrupt. You guys saw that the cost to borrow on AMC started to skyrocket because a lot of and some other stocks as well, right? You guys notice that? But now it started going back down, and my reasoning with that The only thing that I can think of would be that they came out with a new tokenized security offering, or
I have a different reason why the cost of
other
market.
swaps. Go ahead.
I think the liquidity issues as of present because of FTX and a lot of the crypto debacle has a lot to do with the price action right now. I mean, bro, the volume that we saw the other day was incredible on APE, and now it's coming through to AMC as well as APE. So, you know, there's no doubt in my mind that my common sense allows me to put two and two together, and I would hate to have this conversation with fucking Matt Kohl'S because it will probably be an absolute headache to try and explain to the dude over the last 2 fucking years everything we've observed and experienced equates to what's going on within the crypto fucking market. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a hard setup, man.
Oh, he's definitely hard headed, bro. I mean, like, if he doesn't understand something, he'll say you don't understand it. You know what I mean? He goes, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand. That's basically yesterday. But my thing is with the cost of borrow coming down. I think part of the reason is they ripped the cost of borrow, went to 102%. Again, I think that's fucking weird. That happened really right after the FTX thing, right? So it kind of have some correlation. I think so, right? But I think the reason why it's coming down, one part of the reason is there's a lot of shares that are due, and the lenders, they want to, well, like the lenders, the Vanguards, the BlackRocks, they're kind of, they don't really like one side or the other. They don't give a shit about retail investors that are long, even though they have a shit ton of shares that they're technically long with, right? They don't care about retail investors, and they don't really care about the borrowers. They care about themselves as the lenders, right? So they would want to lend their shares out at as high as possible, but you know, if they have to lower the price to get people to borrow, they'll lower it. They'll lower the fee, right? And they want to burn these borrowers out. They notice the borrowers are really desperate for these shares because they borrowed at $40, 40 cents per share, and they had 100% utilization since February of this year, right? 100% utilization since February of this year. Meaning these guys really borrowed it, shorted it from $40, dropped it down to $5, and that's not good enough for them. It's not good enough for them to close their short position and return the shares. So these guys are desperate for those shares. So these guys are like,
yep.
Well, we already gave them the shares. So it's kind of like the lenders kind of gave the longs, the retail investors, like the middle finger, like F you. Here, take the shares, 1% borrow fee. Take it, $40, 1% fee, 40 cents per share is enough. Now, 40% borrow fee. 40%, you're over $3 per share versus 40 cents per share.
So,
you know what I mean? And
so bearing that data point,
100% cost of borrow would be $8. They can settle for $3 and like whatever $3.80 or whatever 40%. You know, like they'll take it. You know.
Well,
so that's what I think is part of the reason, because they're trying to find like that middle ground where, oh, you guys want to borrow it, like they'll bring it from 102 to 90, 70, 60, 50, 40. Oh, they borrowed everything at 40. Okay, keep it at 40.
Here's one of my questions, Batman, right? In regards to all the information you've just given us, which is something that needs to really be, taken note of and put into your back pocket, right? As well as that, and this is a thing that I would really wanted to ask in that room, Marcel, the other day. How the fuck do you explain that amount of FTDs on the issuance of a fucking preferred equity dividend? Now, in layman's terms, right? If the dude was here, I would love to ask him this question. In your indoctrinated education, how would you explain that to me? And let that be a question that I ask to you, Marcel, instead, because the dude ain't here, right? But how the fuck do you justify that? It's a preferred equity dividend. So in essence, it should not have any FTDs at all.
There shouldn't be, bro.
Here
you go. How many shares?
And the amount of drama that we had in Germany on the release of that fucking dividend is enough to tell me a whole fucking portion of a story that was untold in mainstream media anyway.
You're right, bro. It's literally like, how many shares do you need? 1,000. Well, we got them. Here we go. That's it. Simple as that. How are you getting FTDs? There's some shit going on, bro. Why is there that many FTDs? That's a good fucking question, because that's not fucking normal. And the biggest question isn't even why there's so much FTDs. It's who's responsible for all those FTDs. Who's the entity that couldn't deliver, right? Because I could tell you there's 20 million FTDs. I could tell you there's 10 billion FTDs, right? And then why? Well, you could literally tell me tomorrow. Well, the reason why is because some fucking shorts or whatever, or the fucking bank couldn't locate. It's like, okay, right? Now tell me which one, who, right? You have 8 brokers, prime brokers there. Everybody's fine, right? But you have one that's fucking up. Well, that's the question is who fucked up. And the problem with FTDs is you don't find out who fucked up. That's the fucked up thing. We need that should be transparent as fuck.
And my other question would be why do we not find out the true ferocity of failure to delivers, and how is it that they're able to fail to deliver upon IOUs, right, and keep getting away with it? And I've always scratched my head about this. I always thought I knew, and then when the FTX debacle come about, and then we come to discover the tokenized securities, it was like a fucking voila moment, bro. It was like, oh my god.
So
yes, sir.
Okay, so the threshold securities list, right? When you have like 1% of 1.5, I think it was percent of the float FTDs, and you have to do it for like a multiple amount of days. After 2 weeks on the threshold securities list, right? You have to pretty much open the books and be like, yo, who fucked up with the FTDs? After 2 weeks. And AMC was on the threshold security list, right? For 2 weeks, for 13 days. The 14th day, those FTDs went gone. Bye-bye. The last fucking day. And there was no accountability. Nobody found out who was responsible for those FTDs. That's it, gone. FINRA themselves, I've read in, I don't know exactly what filing I read it, but they were literally talking about how they have no idea who's responsible for any FTDs, because as long as they settle between the before the 14th day, everything is just okay. Nothing they see here. That's it.
So
that's
the
not fucking normal.
exchanges,
But and that's 1.5%, Rafiki. That's 1.5% of the float. Not fucking 50 million. What is it? 50 million? 10%? Come on.
Well, bro. This is what I'm saying.
Hey guys, let's also get to some hands when you guys are done, and we need to rotate people out and get to the hands because I'm trying to bring more people up too.
Yeah, I'll drop down.
Yeah, no drama, but I just wanted to add this back, man. If them FTDs were absolved and figured out, you would surely see that in correlation in terms of price action. And whenever them FTDs disappeared off the face of the earth, there weren't really fuck all going on in terms of price action. So, and this is what makes me remain curious and very skeptical in terms of what the fucking system is doing and what the regulators are supposed to be doing. Because if there was that vast quantity of FTDs, if they were resolved, you would see that in correlation on the fucking charts. And we haven't yet. We see the SPY take a massive rally when Jay Powell speaks and talks his shit and all that sort of crap. And you see a delayed reaction in terms of the meme stocks the following day. So listen, it's fuckery, and nothing but fuckery. Absolute.
Of course.
Fuckery.
Yep.
Nothing to see here. What do you got for us?
Hey, thank you for having me. Boss, I'd like some clarification on last.
Nothing to see here. Are you there? I see your hand up.
He's speaking.
I can hear him.
Yeah, hello, can I be heard?
I hear you. I think people can hear you, but everybody else can.
Yeah, it's okay. You can go.
Sorry.
Standing.
My apologies. Let's just keep going.
You're good. Boss, this question is for you. Last night on the call with Matt, you were reading from the filing things about the case of merger, acquisition, buyout, referring to a share recall. In the wording that you read, I never heard the word recall. There was a convert, which would mean that, APE would be converted to AMC. I would like for clarification on that. How do you get recall out of the statements you read from the filing? A buyout would be bad for us, in my opinion. Whoever would buy us out would set a price, and that would be what we would get for the shares, period.
See, the thing is, when there's doesn't say recall because it's an automatic conversion. That's why it says converted automatically to the securities to which it's being transferred or to cash, etc. But if that's the case, the 8K filing states that the shares would be automatically converted to whatever other security, right? So even if it was at a certain price, say that happened with APE at, $5 a share, $10 a share, $15 a share, whatever theoretical number you want to put, that's not a really high number, just a nice low number. If that were to happen, they would still have to fetch all those shares. And like you guys were just saying, there was 43 million failures to deliver on the first day. And if you go look on Yahoo, don't take my word. Everybody go check like Google, but it'll show you like Yahoo's #1 top shorted stock on the market right now is APE, APE, AMC Preferred Equity. And so when they have to go out there and pay those $5 a share and locate them in order to recall those shares, because that's what they have to do. They have to get the shares in order to close them out, to bring to basically convert. Okay, that's the right word. Convert those shares back into it. So you can think of it. You can even call it a delisting. A lot of people get mad when I say MMTLP is going to be delisted because they're going private. I'm like, yeah, well, that you can't go private without delisting, you know, and you can't convert shares to another stock without it being delisted, you know, because APE would cease to exist in the same way that MMTLP will cease to exist with the NextBridge spinoff, you know. But NextBridge is going to be a private company, and I keep using Disney as an example because they're a huge company, and it would only take 2.3% of their market cap to buy AMC. That's nothing. 2% of their whole 2.5% of their whole market cap could buy AMC outright, every single dime, you know, and every single theater. And if they wanted to buy it at whatever price a share, then at any specific price per share, then they would have to do that. But those shares still have to be located for these guys to do so, you know. And even whether it causes the mother of all short squeezes or not, is not really a concern to me, because it would at least cause positive price pressure, which would cause FOMO buying, gamma squeezing, delta hedging, and so on. It's a vicious circle, and
Well,
that could eventually lead us to further rabbit holes there. Go ahead, Rafiki.
Well, I was going to say, bro, I vouch for this without any disclaimer. And if I'm wrong, come for me, right? But I'm going to read you this. What brings failure to delivers into the universe, right? And I'll read this. And it says this, right? The definition of an example of a failure to deliver. Generally, it happens when shares or funds aren't delivered to the buyer or seller on the settlement date. Naked short sales and selling an asset without borrowing it first are two of the leading causes for failures to deliver. Naked short sales and selling an asset without borrowing it first. So what did we find out and discover on the release of APE? And this is why it was a fucking genius move, because Adam Aaron turned around and told us all that it's going to give us what we want. And what we wanted was closure. We wanted understanding. And we've got all of that. And silence is fucking golden thereafter, because when I look at the data points, right, and you look at the vast amount of failure to delivers on a fucking preferred equity dividend. Yeah, so it's 1 for fucking 1. You should not have any discrepancies whatsoever across all the exchanges, across the board. It don't matter what fucking country you're in. On the crypto exchanges, they was giving the people money. In Germany, they was like, you're getting money, and you ain't going to be able to buy it on its release. Like, there was all kinds of fuckery going on. That shouldn't have existed. And the only time there is discrepancies and anomalies is when there is naked short sales and selling an asset without borrowing it first. So this is the reason why we saw the run-up early on. The first run-up that went absolutely parabolic to about 25 on. And then the second run-up. And the reason why them two run-ups happened was because of the nefarious naked short selling of it and the naked call options and all kinds of various other factors, right? They had to buy alongside with us to suffice their own leverage. And because they couldn't keep up with the retail demand, what did they have to do? They had to turn the buy button off. That is the reason why they had to turn the buy button off. Because they was about to literally have their second arsehole blown out for them, literally. And since then, they've managed to pull their funds together. Yes, sir. Go for it.
No, that's it. You're figuratively and literally at that point. You know what I mean? They're probably going to figuratively get their ass blown out by us in the market, and they're going to become insolvents because they have to fetch all these shares that they weren't properly hedged for. And they're literally going to get their ass blown out by their fucking boss and their wives and husbands when they go back home broke as shit. They lost their whole, all their fortune and their job at the same time.
Matt Kohl'S gets his ass blown out off his boyfriend every night.
Well, I don't really care about that. To each his own. Oh, let's get another question. Who was next? April, do you remember?
Can I respond to nothing to see here real quick with regards to, because he was saying that it doesn't say specifically recall. Well, here's the thing, the market maker is going to recall the shares so they can account for and balance out the books before it's all said and done, because in the event that there's more shares sold than were initially located, the buying company is not going to pay for extra shares. So they have to balance out the book before everything is settled. So that's why they have to recall the shares. That's exactly what happened with like Twitter.
That's right, sir. But Twitter wasn't very heavily shorted because everybody knew and the market makers knew there's exactly what was going to happen. And there was no real issues with Twitter being shorted at that point. It had already been shorted into the ground over the last several weeks as the whole discussion went on for months with, Musk having to buy it. So they already knew about it. They shorted the hell out of it, left retail holding the bag, sold out of their positions, and then retail in Twitter got a buyout because they went private. They delisted. They went private. It's different than if the shares went into another stock. They just got, cash, whatever that was. I don't know if it was $55 a share. I'm just spitballing. I forgot because it's been like a month now. I didn't really care that much, but I did look into it. But yeah, Elmo, very well stated, my friend. That's perfect. Who's next?
And before it really goes, Elon Musk is an interesting talking point as well, especially based on a few tweets that he's made, which are kind of cryptic. And we'll let really go first.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, if you guys saw, and this is pertaining to AMC and APE, if you saw the transaction from HYMC where they paid down their debt and they also used shares that would have been basically like an 11-to-1 ratio to pay off their debt at the price that the shares are valued at, to get the equivalent of the debt erased from their books. So basically, if you look at what can be done with AMC, they can pay off a specific amount of debt to a creditor and also issue APE as a part of debt payment to relieve themselves of the debt. And they can do it at an increment that allows them to pay off significantly more debt due to the expectation of APE going significantly higher. For instance,
Yes.
APE can be $1, but they can give you $5 off of your debt for every share of APE that you give them. Why? Because they expect APE to go 5 to 6 to 7 times higher and make an incrementally greater return on investment through the APE stock than they would if you were to give them a straight up dollar. And in a liquidity crisis situation like we have now, people are killing for dollars, and there are people who will literally take a HYMC share, which is something like 75 cents roundabout, and they will take that share rather than a straight up dollar. That tells you loads about how much the shares are actually worth behind the scenes. It means that they expect the expectations of those shares, specifically given away in large bulks, are expected to have a much greater return on investment than a dollar ever will. And that's during a massive liquidity crisis and a massive run on banks that's going on. So, again, it's not just mergers and acquisitions, it's debt refinancing using the APE. It's a damn currency, and it's much more valuable than what it's written down on in the stock market. You can get a $5 off your debt for every 1 share of APE as long as you package them in a big enough bulk. If you give someone 1 million shares of APE at $1.08, they might wipe off, $5 million worth of debt because they expect APE to get incrementally greater in value over the next year, which is a 100% return on investment in some cases, if you really look at it long term, which banks and institutional investors will. They are not stupid. They are not scared. They are not hurting for money. Some of them are in great positions to make a lot of money and do very well for themselves, and they're not panicking, and we shouldn't either.
Another great point. That's why I like having multiple viewpoints. That all makes perfect sense as far as market mechanics go, sir. Yes, very good.
Well, bro, before John goes, like a debt perspective is a very interesting conversation. So if we bring debt perspective back, right, we had about 5 billion worth of debt, and in the last earnings call, a lot of that debt was getting chomped away, and that was the most bullish perspective of the last earning calls that we had. And the shillery and the bullshit that come thereafter was incredible because a lot of people were knocking it to high heaven, but the knockery of that earnings call was not in reference to the paying off of the debt. Now, if we look at Netflix, for example, right, their long-term debt for the quarter ending September 30th, 2022 was 13 point something billion. 13 point something billion, right? In 2021, it was 14.6 billion. And you get the picture. That's a large quantity of debt. And what short sellers fail to do is to deliver on projections based on what's being earned today. They don't want to tell you that short time frame data. They want to tell you on what's going on here and right now. And they want to make that their thesis. But when you look at AMC in terms of and let's say, for example, right, you're in this just as an investor and not for a squeeze. If you're in it just for numerical values and as an investor, the projections for this business is looking fucking good. Very, very good. But they don't want your average Joe to know this information. They don't want you to have that. They want you to have the here and the now. And they create their negative narrative based on the last 2 weeks worth of data opposed to future projections. Right, and every earnings call we've been given what we need to have. And this is something that fucking annoys the shit out of me, bro. Like, Marcel, it pisses the shit out of me that no short seller wants to quantify this data and talk about it. They want to talk about what's going on right here, right now. Yeah, we had a fucking pandemic. It was dirty wine. It was nasty. Of course, your brick and mortar business is going to suffer. But with that said, we'll go straight to you, John, because I have a tendency to rabbit on quite a lot.
Yeah, thanks very much. Cheers, Boss Blunts. You're doing very good for the cause and what have you. Just got a quick suggestion. There's supposed to be 5 million apes holding AMC. Christmas time's coming up. We should do a campaign to get all the apes to buy a $10 gift card for their loved ones at Christmas. And that should give the company a lot of profit and it should sort the debt out. It's a very simple solution, in my opinion. That's all I want to say. One more thing, Matt Cause is a pussy, and so's Lou, and so's the guy who wears the frog hat. Fuck the lot of them.
Well, John, we got to remember one thing, right? And I take a leaf out of my man Jay Brown's book, and I'm sure many of you in this room are familiar with who Jay Brown is. He's all about connectivity and understanding and ultimately positivity. So, when you had that call with Matt Kohl'S the other day, Marcel, I kid you not, bro, I listened to it this morning on my travels to work, and I commend and absolutely respect you for not losing your shit in some portions of that conversation, because there was many a moments where I would have absolutely lost my shit and been like, "Who the fuck you talking to? You can't." I would have lost my shit and really composed myself incredibly bad. So I commend you for that, and I think that's what the community needs more of. It needs more composure and more patience and understanding, because if you believe that you're right in a certain scenario of your let's say theoretical analysis, right, there's no point getting angry and fighting fire with fire. The only way to put fire out is with water, right? And if you don't want to be water, you're just going to add to the bullshit, and it's going to perpetuate within the community, and everyone's going to be full of hatred, and now you've got a major division of two parties. Whereas how wonderful would it be to fight fire with truth, right? And just hope that it rubs off. So for that, Marcel, I thank you for conducting yourself in the way that you did, because I thought it was really nice, professional, and just calm, cool, collected. Like we need that sort of shit. And then you dipped out, and after you said your piece, and that was the end of that. And then obviously he weren't too happy with that, which is neither here nor there, right? We can deal with that afterwards. But I think composure is the most important component within our community right now, because the trending factor is we keep losing our cool with one another, and when that happens, we create more rifts and divisions, which is not what we need right about now. We need to compose ourselves. You need to believe in yourself. You need to understand your level of knowledge. Like, you need to be in tune with yourself ultimately, and then that way you can have a discourse the way that Marcel had with Matt. Because I kid you not, bro. Like, I listened to that conversation and I would have lost my shit many times over. But you didn't. and I respect that, and that's what we need. We need to have more of that. We need to have more discourse. It doesn't matter if you was wrong in the first half of the conversation or not. That's irrelevant. What is relevant is the fact of the matter when you get from A to B. Do you know what I mean? And I love that. I really love that about the conversation you had with him.
All right, we got another hand. Frog, what's up? Frog, you there?
Just to your point, Rafiki, I think that's what needs to happen. There needs to be more clear conversations and less heated arguments. If you guys heard me getting a little frustrated with the guy, it's because he was obviously, if any of you watched his streams in the past, you could tell that he was playing dumb.
What's
He
up,
was playing
Scotty?
the game. So I wasn't really going to play that too long. So we have an hour and 20 minutes. You're pretending like
What's
dark
up,
pools don't
Scotty?
affect price action. So I had to put a stop to it, and I said, okay, that's enough. Scotty, go ahead. Everybody, go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. I just wanted to ask you your thoughts. I mean, obviously, crypto's taking a batting right now, but I'm at the belief that a couple big banks got to take a proper hit. Any thoughts?
Yeah, crypto markets, crypto exchanges, and cryptocurrencies, are going to get they're going to get fucking destroyed. Not every single one of them, but the vast majority of them. And I've been saying this since early last year. Equities markets are going to they're so overvalued and over leveraged, and there's so many quadrillions of dollars in derivatives here that with now that the money printer's turned off and rates are going up and there's some sort of quantitative tapering happening, there's no choice but for the money to go somewhere. And as liquidity dries up, it's going to cause a lot of these, overvalued cryptocurrencies to lose a lot of value. People are going to lose a lot of money in those.
Hey, is
And a lot of
anybody
that money
talking? Because
is gonna go out.
I think I'm not hearing everyone.
Yeah, April. Yeah, I'm talking. I know she's probably having trouble hearing me.
All right, I'm jumping down.
Okay, thanks, April.
Yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, I just think that the amount of money that they're going to need to accumulate to fucking make this, clean this mess up, is going to require a bank or two.
No, bro, you need to understand that they have that to hand. Do you understand the Ponzi scheme that the banking system is? Do you understand that they're able to create money out of thin air to suffice for everyone that needs it, especially the ones who vote the most for certain Democratic or Republican parties or whatever way, shape or form you want to call it. It don't matter what fucking country you're in. The banks have the ability to create money out of thin air. And how do they claw that money back once they've created it? Through the taxpayer. It's the biggest scam on planet Earth, right? So not only do I have a problem with the stock market, I have a problem with the banking system that is the pulse of the stock market. The banking system is the pulse of the stock market. And Bigham's is someone who I've got a lot of respect for because he's talked about this shit for a long time. And it's took me a little while to cotton on to piece it all together in that respect. But it is the largest Ponzi scheme on planet Earth. Banks giving loans, and then on top of them loans, creating more money out of thin air to suffice for that loan. Like it's disgusting. And the law has allowed them to do it because ultimately the same people that created the safe haven for these fuckers to exist are the ones that benefit from it as well. And when you ask the question, well, who are they? That's a whole next level of conversation. Now you're getting your tinfoil hat on and getting into some shit. But it's a major problem. It's a disgusting, disrespectful system towards humanity, and I don't like it. And I'm not going to sit by and watch it continue to happen. There's a lot of things that Wolfie has said. Wolfie's a man after my own heart. Like he's of my country, right? He shares the same accent, but that's neither here nor there. But he understands, he gets it, and I say that because you know what Wolfie's about, Marcel. This situation ain't no fucking laughing matter or no joke. It's nothing to be taken the piss out of. Like this is serious shit. So when you have a rebuttal in a debate with someone like Matt Course and nothing in any way, shape, or form that I'm talking about is getting addressed, that's kind of concerning to me because these are the things that matter. The fuckery of the system. This is the most important things that we should be focusing on, opposed to, I'm right, you're wrong. APE is a bad investment. APE's a good investment. That chit chat is neither here nor there. It's irrelevant. What is important is how they're abusing the system as a whole.
Yeah, I wanted to make a point. Oh, I didn't see 305. Go ahead, 305.
Hey, hey guys, thanks for having me on. A lot of good information on here. I just wanted to get your thoughts on, I'm not big into all the YouTubers, and obviously everybody's always contradicting themselves, and
Rafiki, is
I
he
don't get.
talking?
Can
Yeah,
you hear
just
me?
let him speak. Yeah, we can hear him.
And obviously I don't get into the contradicting YouTubers. I think they have their own agendas a lot of the times, so I don't really listen to that. I think a lot of our community needs to just focus in on the data and what's at hand and be data driven. So the reason why I bring that up is just because I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on how obviously we're all in this. A lot of us have been in this for a long time. I myself have been in this for 2 years, but in regards to AMC, everybody's always talking about, oh, the synthetics, the synthetics. The data that's showing on a daily basis of the amount that's being borrowed onto the market, and now even the cost to borrow is higher on a daily basis. Um, as more buying pressure continues and short interest increases, how is it that they're still able to continue borrowing so many shares at such a high clip, even with the cost to borrow? Is this just kind of a Fugazi situation where, I mean, this is just fake upon fake shares, or how is it even being done? Because especially today, as the price, moved up a little bit today in the market, it just seemed like every 20 or 30 minutes, they were borrowing 400, 500, 600,000 shares a clip. I mean, how is this even possible? And the reason why I bring it up is just because the data, we're all heavily involved with this because of the data. That to me is clear as day that these are fake shares being used to suppress the price. I'd like to know what your guys' thoughts are.
All right. Well, there's so many. We could talk about this for like 1,000 hours straight right now, but so I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. Like the first of all, like the one you guys most recently hearing about is these tokenized securities, right? There's a shitload of total return swaps against these tokenized securities being used. That these are often done on ISDA through ISDA. Okay, so these things don't go to the dark pool. They don't go to the lit pool. They go directly from J.P. Morgan's filing cabinet to Citadel's filing cabinet, and then to Wells Fargo, and then to another hedge fund or family house, and so on and back and forth. And they can bilaterally net all of these, which is a fancy term of saying betting the same bad derivative, bad bet against another. So my gamble versus your gamble versus his gamble versus her gamble, all kind of cancel each other out. And so that's why we say that there's so much rehypothecations going on, because that's literally what they are. It's rehypothecations of the same underlying asset, and they're none of these are actually hitting the tape. They're not hitting the NBBO like say and things like that. So that's just one of many ways, right? There's total return swaps, which is what our Kegos was doing, and it blew up in their faces. And now Credit Suisse last quarter had a $6 billion loss. And now this quarter, they're looking at a $2 billion loss. And my puts on Credit Suisse right now are looking really sexy, and that's just one. So then you've got, like shorts marked as long. They literally got to push a keyboard to mark a position as a short position. So they could literally be short and not even mark it as short, and it stays long. So literally it's in there, and it's like, if it's a short position, you got to hit yes, tap Y for yes, and if they don't do that, it goes through as a long position. And Citadel and all these
Market makers have been fined for that.
Yes, they have literally been fined hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars by FINRA and these other parties, and all that money, and the SEC, and that money goes directly to the United States Treasury. It doesn't go to retail investors that just lost that money. And then you can have married and divorced puts and calls. They can take puts and calls and marry them against your puts and calls, for example. So that's just another way that they can take short interest from the hedge fund and hide it as failures to deliver in the market makers and kick that can.
And then they could use Brazilian depository receipts and American depository
Receipts and German and French and all over the world to to create like further synthetics. And they're supposed to have, again, the collateral is supposed to be there to back it, but oftentimes it's not. And the list goes on. We could literally, like, I could delve deep into all these. I'm sure a lot of people are very skilled in that, but I don't want to spend 1,000 hours just talking about the same thing, even as much as we could. But just also, it's like, sorry, go ahead,
no, I appreciate you taking the time to explain that. So essentially, and I'm not trying to be a pessimist at all. I want this just as much as anybody else to have positive price action and possibly MOAS at some point. Is there a limit to this? Or is this just an unlimited situation that they can just continue suppressing the price?
It's not infinity printer. It's not infinite shares. Like guys like Doug Sifu from Virtue and these assholes like to say that, that they can provide infinite liquidity. But it's not infinite. It's all based on the liquidity that they have and the collateral that they have that backs that up. And so when you have market crashes, stock market crashes, cryptocurrency crashes, real estate crashes, used car market crashes, RV and trucking industry crashes, railroad strikes, World War III, China, Russia, Ukraine, Taiwan, Iran, Saudi Arabia, you name it, Syria. Like when these things start happening, the money printers got to contract because we're at a point of hyperinflation, right? And so when we're at a point of hyperinflation, the Fed has no choice but to contract it, but to destroy jobs, get people out of their homes, and get people out of their jobs so that they stop spending money. In order to try to bring down those inflation numbers so that they don't completely devalue the dollar, which is inevitable. But hang on a second.
Right. So I'd like to know quickly, in your opinion, do you think that moving forward in this movement, especially with AMC, that it's going to end up being more of a fundamental type play in that sense, or is it's going to be in reaction to the situations you're discussing that's happening around the world, the liquidity crisis and things like that? We're just going to have to continue to wait to see things kind of melt down and self-destruct in a way.
Yeah, man. A lot of people want to say, what about Evergrande? That didn't cause the MOAS. Well, Evergrande hasn't even gone bankrupt yet. They're still holding that same collateral at fair market value, when in reality they're fair value accounting when they should be using actual value accounting, but they're not, because that's the way that ISDA wants to continue their Ponzi. And then like things like June 3rd, the executive order 14032, 13959 is amended, Chinese collateral that has been taken from a lot of these guys, and they're no longer able to trade it here within the United States, but they can trade it to their offshore counterparties like Hong Kong and shit like that. And so they can then maintain that collateral in exchange for giving back some American collateral. Therefore, they're able to maintain that. So there's a lot of fuckery going on. And then like phase 6, it's not an instantaneous thing with phase 6 where the increased margin requirements was one thing. But then when you've got other factors such as like the contracts that are currently grandfathered in to phase 6 and currently playing by phase 5 rules and before, those are eventually over, every month. There's monthly contracts, bi-monthly, quarterly, biannually, annual, at 2-year, 5-year, 10-year contracts, 30-year contracts, etc., kind of like the treasuries and whatnot. And all those will have to be rolled over slowly but surely into new contracts as well, and those ones won't be grandfathered in by the old rules. So there's a lot of factors going on and a lot of things that are chipping away at these guys. And like T90, C90, like people are really confused because they're thinking like, they're 90 days, it's T90. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry I said T90. It wasn't actually 90 trading days. It's 90 calendar days, and it states that in rules SEC regulation 11880. I'm going off the top of my head, but I'm 99% sure it's SEC regulation 11880. And if you look at it, might be FINRA, but either way, Google FINRA 11880, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about there. That the selling syndicate, the distributor of the IPO, which in this case was the ex-dividend date when the IPO occurred of the dividend release, they have 90 calendar days to close out those to deliver the APE shares. And if they don't, then the broker dealers that did not receive them from the shorts can then issue margin calls. And that could be what we saw. These guys don't get like margin calls like retail do, where you got to respond in a matter of a couple hours. They give them several days. They give them a week, you know. And if it was 90 calendar days, that would have been like November 22nd, November 23rd. And then, you know, they've got to make the call and give them 5 days, 7 days, whatever they agree to, because the broker wants them to deliver. They want the selling syndicate, the issuing syndicate of those APE shares to deliver. Otherwise, you know, like Thomas Peterffy said, they've got to fetch them at whatever price. And if that happens, it threatens their very solvency. And then you have a pull the buy button situation kind of thing, you know, because these guys don't want to go bankrupt, even though they're, in my opinion, they're not going to have a point. They're not going to have a choice at some point here. But that's pretty much what's gonna happen is like when that occurs. I've been saying this since I first came on Jackson Hunter's channel for the first time, you know, last year, before I started doing YouTube, when I first came on Twitter, when I first went on Reddit to tell people like, hey guys, there's gonna be a fucking market crash. And when it happens, then AMC and GameStop and all these meme stocks are gonna, you know, go through the fucking roof, and we're gonna be filthy fucking rich because they're not gonna have sufficient collateral to maintain their margin positions. And so we bring up these dates not because I expect MOAS to happen on June 3rd or on Phase 6, September 1st, or on any of these particular dates, or on the C90 date, or on the T90 date, if that's what people want to believe. I don't really care, even though it is 90 calendars, not trading days. You know, it's all of these combined and then some. It's the unforeseen. It's the unknown unknowns that are going to lead us there. And that's going to be, you know, more cryptocurrencies. I called Bitfinex, what was it, Bitfinex or Bitfinance? We're the one that just went under from FTX. Sorry, I can't remember their name right now because I got so much on my mind. But yeah, I was literally on YouTube saying 2 weeks before they went bankrupt, like, hey guys, these guys are about to go fucking bankrupt. You know, like, do what you got to do, you know, and use your best judgment to take care of your own money. But they're about to go bankrupt, and we're not even close to seeing the end of that. You're going to see a couple dozen more minimum happen, and at any point, one of them could occur. You know, one of them could go down, like you know, Qcoin, for example, or you know, any of them. And just with all of those that came before it, and then there will be that one final domino that as they just collapse, the dominoes get bigger and bigger. If you guys ever seen that meme, starts out with a tiny little domino and each one is twice the size. Next thing you know, you got one that's the size of like a pickup truck, and that's getting knocked over, but that started by a domino the size of a dime. You know, it's the same exact concept, because as liquidity, as the margin, as the collateral gets taken away from these guys, as is the contracts get ripped away and are no longer grandfathered in, all of this combined, and then things that I'm not even mentioning right now because we don't have the time, are going to lead us, in my opinion, in my non-financial advisor opinion, to what we're looking for. And things like issuing of shares like AMC the last 2 times that caused us to rip might cause some squeezes like they did before, up to $77 and shit. But the true MOAS will probably occur when something like that happens and the markets crash at the same time, because these guys are going to have to sell off their Amazon and their Apple and their blue chips and their crypto and you know, all these other things, their treasury bonds. And Ken Griffin and these guys are holding the United States treasury bonds hostage, and that will inevitably, in my opinion, lead to a mother of all short squeezes. And that's the only way, because it threatens their solvency, and they're going to fight every single day until they're bankrupt, every day.
But I think they're near that. They're around this sort of period, to be honest. And I think that we're going to squeeze during a pretty green market. I think the crashes, to a degree, already happened, to be honest with you. And I could share a lot more of my opinions, but I know Stoic has had his hand up for a little while, and I know you got some shit you want to spray, my man. So do your thing.
Yeah, I in no way, shape, or form am selling my ape, but this is a preemptive talk about the liquidity. To go back to Butcher's point about how liquidity, they don't have infinite liquidity, and how all of this actually through the dilution process can affect us in a positive way. Remember, there are people out there with, you know, hundreds of millions of shares short, hundreds of millions of synthetics that they have to fill those orders or close those orders out. And they would love to do that at a lower price. The only way that they can get out at a price lower than the issued ape price, which they were all short the day that we issued ape, And the day that APE came out and was in our accounts, that starting price, whatever that starting price was, they shorted it at that point, and they're making the difference down here, right? The weird thing is we can fly past that price point on just a little bit of volume, but someone has to come in and sell them shares so they can close. This is where Adam Aaron and AMC and APE step in. They start to put these block orders out there at significantly higher prices, and now all of a sudden these brokerages, these family funds, these people willing to negotiate on the lit exchange are going to go out there and say, okay, well, I'll buy 10 million shares. I'm not going to buy 20,000 shares or 10,000 shares because I'll drive the price up on myself and I won't close out my full position. But if I can get out with 10 million shares and pocket that difference from 7 to 1 and only bring the price up $1.50, I'm out the door. Well, here's the weird thing is they did that, but they just fucked over 100 other family institutions, a bunch of hedge funds and banks. Now the next guy comes up to bat and we go through another dilution round, and Adam Aaron runs us up another $2 or $3. Now they're getting closer to being into unreal or from realized gains to unrealized or to real unrealized losses. So they're in unrealized gains right now, which they're using as that collateral, if you will. They can say, "Oh, I look at my books. I got all of this short position on APE. It's all good. We shorted it at 8, 9, and 10. It's at $1 right now. You know, we were making 700% if we close out our position." Problem is they can't close out their position. There's no real shares to close out. They just keep selling short at all the brokerages and all the exchanges and filling those shorts. And then, off exchange to a cryptocurrency like FTX, and they're tokenizing your stock, which isn't holding the stock. Again, you're being synthetic to hell in this stock. But where Adam Aaron knows he can step in is he can incrementally raise the price on them using APE. And someone's going to come to the table and buy it for a significantly higher price. It went to $1.48. I believe he diluted about 15 million shares. 7 million went to the employees. Another 7 million hit the lit exchange. And we saw a rise from $1.48 to about $2.92. So roughly a 100% gain in a week, right? This is what can happen with just small increments of lit exchange action of real shares. When people want to get out, they will get out. But here's the thing: we need that sell pressure from Adam Aaron because they're just selling. All they're doing is selling to us. They're Matt Kohrs. If there's anything that made sense about what he said yesterday was, yeah, they're moving things off exchange so that they don't have to be transparent about what price they're executing the buy orders at. Yeah, they're probably executing orders at significantly lower prices than the actual ask and the actual market price, which means they're selling it well short of the market price, making the price go lower. So yeah, it's obvious they don't want to show the entire world that there's tens of millions of shares that are trying to buy at market price, that are trying to buy at the ask, and that are being sold shorter than the asking prices and the market prices in order to bring the price further down to support that short position.
Yeah, great points, man. In addition, they don't even have to sell the shares. They can just literally spoof the market. I don't know if you guys noticed, or I'm sorry, I should assume. I put out a tweet earlier, and I shared a tweet from Lit Exchange, right? And there was breaking news today from the Wall Street Journal. A biotechnology company, NWBO, accused Citadel Securities, Susquehanna International, Virtue Financial, and other Wall Street firms of driving down its stock price through a series of illicit trades. And they're literally accusing them of spoofing orders. Okay. It says, for those of you that haven't seen it, they're accusing these companies of driving down its stock price through a series of illicit tactics. In a lawsuit filed Thursday in Manhattan court, Northwest Biotherapeutics, NWBS, alleges that the market makers had repeatedly engaged in spoofing, where traders place orders with an intent to fool other investors about a stock's demand and manipulate the price. They can spoof the market. They can spoof the NBBO. They can place orders. And we know for a fact that JP Morgan just got nailed for doing this via the RICO Act, for doing this from 2008 all the way through 2016. They did it for so many years. They do this for decades and before until they get caught, and they'll continue to do it. And so a lot of times it's just slaps on the wrist. It's fines, but they finally nailed JP Morgan and prosecuted them. And for the first time ever, and this just happened this year, like just a couple months ago or a month ago, and for the first time ever, they're now finally going after those actual people. They've never gone after the people before, only after the companies. And it's just pay a fine, and get slapped on the wrist and move on. But now, because they're RICO in their asses, the DOJ is, they're actually able to go after the actual people that are causing these manipulations, these spoofing, etc., these wash sales. A wash sale is like trading a share, putting it up on the market from your right pocket and selling it to your left pocket. You know what I mean? Like, you own one company and then you sell it to the other company that you own, and then you sell it back to them, each time dragging down the price little by little, to bring down that NBBO repeatedly. So these guys don't have to have a shitload of shares to beat up the price. They just have to spoof the market, make it commit wash sales, and all these other things that we've discussed. And so really it is nasty. It's a really nasty thing that we're dealing with, and these are the characters that we're dealing with. And that's why, until they get margin called, and not just by the DTC, but I mean until they're all margin calling each other, we're gonna be in this situation. And that just gives me more time to hold and buy some more.
And this is the interesting thing as well, and I've seen a lot of arguments and bullshit about why AMC chose Citigroup. Well, let's get real about one thing, right? If you look at most of the potential issuances of this, who would you rather? Would you rather Citigroup, or would you rather JP Morgan? Or would you rather another prime brokerage? Like, who the fuck would you rather deal with this shit? I would have probably chose Citigroup as well, to be fair, because JP Morgan is the dirtiest of the dirtiest. I mean, these fuckers have been involved in some shady political shit for over a century. Yeah, over a century. So quantify that amount of time. That's a long fucking time to be involved with the already established and who was who back then and who is who today. And JP Morgan is a prime player within that agenda and industry. So bear that in mind as well. So who would you rather? Citigroup deal with it, or someone else and all that? So, I think the choice was made smartly, and I trust the company to just do what they need to do, man. Because you look at anyone else who could have done it for them, and it's not good. It's really not good.
Hey, you know what? I forgot how to post things up top. How do I throw something up the top for people to see a link?
So if you have a tweet, Butcher, you go to your tweet and then you hit like that bottom right share arrow. It's like the underscore with the arrow on it, right. And then you just hit
your space.
Share.
Thank you.
You got it.
Appreciate that. I haven't done that in so long because I haven't done space calls for several months. Appreciate you, brother. Anybody else got questions? I'm sorry I wasn't able to get your hands. If anybody wants to raise their hand, if anyone wants to come up, I'd be more than happy to, to invite you. Send a couple invites there, Randall Cornett, as well as other people. But I understand if you're busy working, if you're busy doing other things, you don't have to come up to speak. But if anybody else has any questions, by all means, throw your hand up. And I'm looking now actively, and I can bring you up if you do. Secretary, or any of you guys, if you guys have anything else you'd like to add while I wait for people's hands to go up, by all means, the floor is open, man. I'm all ears to hear what you guys are thinking, and if you guys have any questions for each other or myself, whatever.
Yeah, I'm the most interested in what the ape can be used as a currency. I think it has this dollar. It's almost pegged to $1 at this point, right? The value is 1 for 1, and could represent so much more if the theory holds true that they are just literally naked shorting, and the dilution process is what starts the buying on their end, right? It starts to give them an exit slightly above the ask, slightly above the ask, slightly above the ask, until it starts to climb out of control. And then it puts a lot of pressure on the people who haven't been buying, haven't been closing. So that thing is a currency. It really, really intrigues me. Disney Paramount, rumors of Tesla, GameStop even partnering with AMC for the Super Mario movie that's coming out. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm telling you right now, if you don't think the Super Mario movie is doing $1 billion, you're kidding yourself. Super Mario, the movie, is going to do $1 billion in the movie theater. There's not a fucking thing that any of us can do about it. The hype around that thing is building like you wouldn't believe, and it's one of the coolest things. It's such a throwback to all of our childhoods. It's such a connection to all of our childhoods. If you're sleeping on the movies, I know fundamentals, a lot of people don't believe they matter. But at the end of the day, if you have billions and billions of synthetics and you're able to raise capital off APE while simultaneously throw some blockbusters out there, and you can get cash positive, pay off your debt, the threat of that dividend, even a couple pennies on billions of synthetics, that is the ultimate transfer of wealth from one entity to the next, right? You've slowly started to tap into them with like a uh what is it called, like a syringe. You've put the needle under their skin, and you're slowly starting to do like a blood drain into your body. So like this is like a transfusion of money starting to happen. You're going to start seeing life exit the hedge funds and start entering the retail investors. And as we get more and more healthy, they get sicker and sicker because they're losing blood over there, right? So once we draw blood financially, you know, we draw blood from them, but it makes us that much stronger over here every time we do that. So fundamentally, we can squeeze them. I would like that to be the last resort. I would love for liquidity issues, because that means it comes sooner than later. I'd love liquidity issues to be the problem rather than anything else. I'd love for a bank to go bankrupt, a hedge fund to go bankrupt, a family fund to go, under, get in a margin call situation, have to be forced to close their short positions and start this whole process. But in the event that they are, doing what they did on January 28th and saying, "Oh my God, don't margin call anybody because it'll start this chain of events that we can't stop." And once we start margin calling people, then we got to start margin calling banks. And once we start margin calling hedge funds and banks, then we got to start margin calling market makers. And once we start doing that, then all of a sudden we got to get the Fed involved. We got to start bailing people out, and the apes will be rich, and they'll have a dividend possibly because they've got all this excess money from this short squeeze situation. So now they're going to issue a dividend. We're just going to keep rolling the money printer over there until they sell all their shares and we buy back all the synthetics. So again, I would like it for it to happen like that rather than us, slowly bleed them away with a dividend in fundamentals, because that is a truly long game and we can win it, but we need a lot of things to go our direction. We need blockbusters. We need apes to be freaking cash in hand ready. We need
Well, bro,
not to hurt people.
Smoker,
Yeah.
this is what I want to ask Matt Kohl'S, right? In regards to this, especially when it comes to a short and a long thesis, right? My question to him would be, right, look, you're so good at pointing out the fact that they issue X amount of shares on APE and can only pay a couple of months worth of interest, but have you really done your homework in terms of the projection of things, right? And what money they owe out in terms of them interest rates and the projections of what is projected to come in. You really need to take into account these numbers and figures. And I don't think, and I invite the dude right here, right now to come and discuss this with me and give me the raw data for the short thesis, if that's the spectrum he's coming from. Because when I try and look at the projections, right, taking a squeeze scenario out of the equation, it looks good. It looks fucking good. And it looks good based off of them projections. So if they have to pay X amount every month for their debt, right, but they're bringing in, let's say, X amount, and I can't give a direct figure because it's interchangeable, right? But the equation itself ain't really that hard to figure out. We know what they owe. We know what the interest fees are. We know based off of that what they need to bring in to suffice for that, as well as to make a profit. And the projections exceed all of that. It exceeds all of that. And I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of the figures and the numbers right now. We can do that another time. But I would invite any short thesis to try and rebuttal that. And I'm not talking about what's happening in the next 2 weeks. I'm talking about what is projected to happen in the next 6 months, right? We've got an amazing quarter coming up right now, which from a standpoint of the prices being this fucking low, you would be an idiot to not buy it. I don't give a shit if you think that's financial advice or not. I could not give a flying fucking fuck. You're a spastic if you don't buy at these low prices, especially if you're a fucking investor in the stock. If you're invested in the stock for the long haul of things and your byproduct's going to be a squeeze, you're a fucking idiot if you don't buy now. So to say that I wouldn't buy it now because it's 80% down, well, that's kind of a fuckery comment. It makes no sense. You buy when a good ticker with good projections is low. You don't buy it when it's up. So that's idiotic right there. So we can throw that one straight out the fucking window. You know what I mean? And especially in Hollywood, I mean, we ain't even taking into account by Amazon churning out $1 billion in terms of making movies every year. We ain't even talking about that. We're not even talking about it. We ain't even going to bother mentioning that. Forget about Amazon. Forget about all your other streaming services. Forget about Disney. Fuck Disney. Who gives a shit about Disney, right? And we do, but we don't. We're just looking at it from really minimalistic, projectional point of numerical values. Business is going to be good. And what they make in terms of money in projections exceed the expenses in the long term, fundamentally. And none of these fuckers want to talk about that. And if they did, I would be more than willing to get into the actual nitty gritty of the numbers and the valuations of that. But they don't want to give you that. None of them want to talk about that. They just want to talk about the indoctrinated, oh yeah, but this, but that. Like, I ain't got time for that sort of bullshit. Like, it annoys the fucking living granny out of me. It really does. But if there is a fundamental thesis to be had, it really does favor the long spectrum of things, just based on numericals anyway. The only thing that doesn't favor that is the fact that it's over leveragedly shorted. So anything you can throw at it to give it a negative connotation, you're gonna do that. You know, to the utmost of your power, you're gonna do that shit. So
Raph, another thing. It was the funniest thing how he came at Boss and said, I don't know how you guys are going to pay $150 million or $180 million a month in rent. I'm like, yo, dude, one movie a month gets us half the rake of what that movie creates at an AMC theater, right? And we were at the worst, the worst ever time period for movies in the history of AMC movie theaters. The third quarter of 2022 is the driest drought that AMC has ever had for production because nothing during the COVID era that was supposed to be produced was produced. And that was all stuff that was on schedule for quarter 2, quarter 3, and early quarter 4 of 2022. And nobody saw those films. All of that was, non-existent. Now after COVID, they're creating it and they're getting it all in production, and you're starting to see the movies ramp up and ramp up and ramp up. And I think that really panics them. On top of that, the day that we launched the merchandise for AMC, like one thing sold out, which was the hats, the beanie hats, and then the mugs sold out the next day in the first hour, and then the hoodies sold out in the next hour. Like 8 of the 9 items are all sold out, which means that we've maximized our profits on stupid shit like t-shirts and mugs. Like, I'm not trying to insult t-shirts and mugs and socks, but we're talking about bare essential cotton clothing with some writing on it. I love AMC, but this is called like this is master marketing right here. This is master merchandising. This is knowing your audience, knowing exactly how many people are going to buy, knowing exactly how much to put out there, knowing that your audience is going to be receptive to the merch, getting them hungry, knowing they want it, knowing they want to find a way to help this company. And he delivers with a massive freaking blowout sale of all the merchants in 2 days.
And you'd be an idiot not to capitalize off of the attention. I mean, let's take for example, like right, your Logan Paul and his idiot brother, right? Whether he's having a fight with Andrew Tate or whatever, that's neither here nor there. But they made a little drink. They made a drink. What was the name of that fucking drink? I can't remember. But I've got children, right? And they're 13 and 12 years old. And they're like, "Oh, Dad, I got this new drink." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What fucking drink?" And they're screaming about it. It's the
Hey, guys.
marketing. It's what's that, Marcel?
Real quick, sorry to interrupt, but can you guys see if you could bring up any of the people that have their hands up? For some reason, every time I click them, it's not bringing them up. So if you can help me out, Rafiki and whatnot, see if when you click there at the bottom to try to bring up speakers, people that have their request to speak, I'm showing currently 0, but then when I leave the screen, I'm showing there's 4 people, and it's not letting me select anybody. So if you can help me out with that, I would appreciate it. And if anybody else, if you took your hand down, put it back up again. We're trying to get to you. I'm just having some technical difficulties with this beautiful Elon Musk owned Twitter, which has gotten somewhat better.
Well, I tell you now, my man, I've got I'm seeing 0 requests on my part. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people that I would willingly invite up to come and talk to me. Some dearly beloved members of the
just bring them up
community.
But nobody's got their hands up. Bring them up, bro.
Right, if you want to talk, slap your hand up, and I'll bring you up.
Yeah, throw some emojis at us if you want to talk. Spam your hand, whatever. Spam if you guys want, or if you haven't raised your hand, because we're having technical difficulties with the space call, and I don't want to just close it down right now because there's like 800 people in here. God bless you all.
Yeah, throw some hands up if you want to come up and talk, and we'll figure it out. There we go. We've got Citizen of the World. Welcome, Citizen. Always a decent voice to listen to. But yeah, he's still got some work to do in it, Mr. Elon, to perfect this shit. But he's getting there. Welcome, Citizen.
How's it going, guys? Can you hear me?
It's going good. Yeah, we can hear you, man.
Yeah, what's going on? Good evening. So I just want to talk about the series of events that we've seen the past week, right? And it's interesting because it just shows the hunger for liquidity. So let's start out with 2-3 days ago when Tesla was around 169, right? You saw these massive $200 calls for Tesla, which didn't make sense whatsoever. 2 days ago, right before Fed Jerome Powell got up, you saw these massive buys on SPX. So I believe this whole thing is absolutely coordinated to get the market as high as possible, and I believe 4,100 is it. Could go a little much higher than that, but not much more. To basically pull as much liquidity as much in the market as possible. I believe these guys are absolutely, excuse my language, absolutely fucked. I truly believe that. I think they've exceeded or they've exacerbated every single avenue possible to draw out liquidity. It was the crypto market. It was then using tokenized assets as collateral, right? It was the derivatives market. For the first time in I think year over year, we saw mortgage-backed securities negative year after year, with banks dumping. So I think, guys, we are getting very, very, very close. I'm not one for, what are we going to do with APE? What are we going to do with AMC? What are we going to do, et cetera, et cetera? I've always believed this is a leverage play, and I believe we are gaining leverage. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And one thing that I think is missed a little bit is depository receipts. That's another aspect of the equilibrium that we miss. Depository receipts is a major way that they're able to fuck with specific tickers.
Well, Rafiki, remember,
Especially if you.
we haven't gotten
Sure.
any reports lately on the money supply, right? Surprisingly, right? So I wonder how the money supply is looking right now. That's very interesting. Nobody's talking about the 210 inversion, right? That's predicted every single recession moving forward, right? So nobody's talking about these major macro events, and we're just supposed to believe that all of a sudden this market is pumping and good times are here. And no, I don't believe it. In order to have a meltdown, a crash, you have to have a melt up, because you have to have something to melt. I believe, boys and girls, we are getting very, very, very close. And if you don't believe
Well,
that, then go ahead.
no, I was going to say, Citizen, like in terms of a market scenario, I think the crash has already happened.
I don't think so.
And I think.
Yeah, I disagree.
Well, I mean, we'll agree to disagree with one another, and I think that only time will reveal, like the daily chart will reveal to us the true answers, isn't it? I mean, I'm not right and I'm not wrong, and neither are you, my man. Respectfully,
absolutely, yes.
No, of course, because it's all best guess, right? It's all best guess, and it's all.
I would like to actually hear. I respect your opinion. I want to hear Boss Blunt's opinion. But Boss Blunt, do you think the market has absolutely crashed, or have they been moving liquidity from asset class to asset class, and now from stock to stock? This trade-off between Tesla and Apple that we're seeing back and forth, drawing liquidity. What do you think, Boss? Has the market crashed? I don't believe so.
Oh, not even close, man. We're not even close. Like everything that you've been seeing has just been the chart tracks exactly like 2008, and let's just pretend like if it happens exactly the way that it did, like that, not exactly, but similarly as far as like chart movement goes, then you'd be looking at a crash between January and February of this 2023. Yeah, if things happen exactly the same.
Coinciding with the housing market, I'm supposing, right?
I don't understand exactly what you mean by that, but housing, like it's kind of all intermingled because of like the mortgage-backed securities and the collateralized debt obligations and all the credit default swaps against them and so on. So yeah, everything's interconnected. People have no idea how interconnected everything, and they're like, oh yeah, but China's real estate market, who cares? Like, no, that's a huge deal, because then these prime brokers and stuff around the world, hundreds and hundreds of banks are going to hurt, and then that's going to bring down prices of other asset classes that they're selling and mortgage-backed securities in other countries. Like Canada, for example, has 53% of all Canadians have adjustable rate mortgages, balloon mortgages that are absolutely skyrocketing now and doubling for some people that can't afford to refinance because they don't make enough income to qualify for the debt to income ratio and so on, or they lost their job. So now, and they got a new job and they haven't been there for 2 years. So now they no longer have the job history. And there's so many things. And then like Ukraine, credit default swaps in Taiwan, like not Taiwan, but another 24 other countries in the Middle East, and then another couple dozen in South America, and and it's all going to come to a head. But yeah, things have been getting moved around and shuffled like crazy. Crypto's getting shuffled around, and look at today on the markets. Using an example, the market was down 0.14%, but all the meme stocks were like up, like AMC and Mullen and all. They were up 20%, 15%, 10%, and so on. It's like the money's getting shuffled out of the blue chips and into the covering their short positions on the meme stocks. What we've seen this year mainly is market crash, short covering rally, market crash, short covering rally, and so on. And they're just kicking the can as long as they can until they get to the point where one of these black swans comes that they can no longer avoid, that they can no longer keep pushing down, man. And that's what happened last year in 2008 with Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns. And you know what I mean? That's what happened in 2020 with the shutdowns and everything went to shit. People are like, oh, but the Fed's not going to let the market crash. That's absolute nonsense. If that was the case, they wouldn't have crashed in 2020 and 2015, 2013, and 2008, and whatever, in 2001 and 1987, all the way back to the beginnings of the stock market. The Fed can't prevent the collapse; they can just delay the collapse. And now with everything going on with hyperinflation and the ridiculous printing of money, and the fact that the majority of printed money is not actually printed by the Federal Reserve. It's printed by banknotes, commercial bank paper, it's called. And that's what Evergrande has been giving out. They've been giving out a shitload of commercial bank paper, these notes that are just literally IOUs. And right now, these players, these ISDA players and shit, are using the fair value accounting of those Evergrande collateral and Country Garden and all these others, hundreds of others, and so on and because ISDA doesn't want to lose all that collateral, they continue to let them play that game. So it's a really dangerous situation. And at any moment, it could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be in a week, it could be in a month, maybe 3 months or 6 months. I would be surprised if it was fucking 6 months, to be honest with you.
May I ask a follow-up question? May I ask a follow-up question about Blunt, if that's okay?
Sure.
So you don't think it's a coincidence, like I do, that all of a sudden J.P. Morgan has entered the housing market search, joining BlackRock, anticipating a housing crash in April? Or do you think that it's also
I'm
a
glad.
coincidence? Excuse me?
I was going to say, I'm glad you brought that up, actually, but finish, please.
Yeah, and do you also see it as a coincidence that we see this move in assets and market cap between what's happening with Tesla and Apple for the past 3 months now? We're basically salvaging the market, right, from a complete crash by shifting money through Apple to Tesla. I don't find that coincidental. I don't find that once at all coincidental or something just to be looked at as something. I think they're basically trying to pull themselves as much as possible, pulling as many bulls, as much liquidity as possible before they crash this thing. Because remember, these guys are very smart. They would like to buy at the bottom and absolutely sell at the top and leave people holding the bags. And I think we're on our way. Thank you, Volkswagen. I appreciate your time, and Rafiki, I appreciate it.
Yeah, brother. As a matter of fact, to your point, I just posted up at the top. I posted up a link to breaking news that Blackstone's, not BlackRock, but Blackstone, their $69 billion real estate fund will limit redemption requests because they've breached their limits this quarter. There's been so many redemptions that Blackstone is on the brink of insolvency. So now they're doing the same thing that FTX did, and all these other cryptocurrencies and the currency exchanges that have pulled the buy button and pulled the withdrawals. They're saying, we're just going to halt things for a little while. We hope to get back to you in a couple of weeks, and then maybe you'll be able to withdraw your money. Yeah, freaking right. You know what I mean? Like that's a joke.
Absolutely. Thank you, Boss Blunts. Thank you, Rafiki, for giving me a chance.
Well, the way that I look at it, right, is if you was a Ponzi scheme, if I was a Ponzi scheme and a scam artist, how would I draw in everyone's money? I would create a scenario where house prices start to diminish. They fall down. And that's currently what we're experiencing right now. So this is almost like an inverse Krim Jamer effect, where when house prices start falling down and, the impact of recession starts to decline, and we're you've got the telltale signs of coming out of the water, right? What are you going to assume? What's to assume that we're going to continue to tank? That's probably what the narrative would suggest for the majority of people to believe. So what do most people do? They trade based on emotions. They position and set themselves based on emotions, right? Especially erratic emotions. So the market has studied this for decades and decades and tries to position itself before everyone else does, which is a telltale sign. So there is a few data points to look at. So housing prices being one of them, which I think is incredibly important, and they are going down right now. So what does that suggest to me from a skeptical viewpoint? It would suggest that they're trying to claw in as much money, especially the banks, as they can to reposition themselves for the bull run, pretty much, in essence, for the fucking bull run. So, and that's partly the reason why I think that we're sort of, but I mean, you might look at the market from a different perspective, which is cool. That's fine. Everyone has their own technical analysis, their own viewpoint, and all that sort of shit. I understand what a broken market this is, and I try and understand my opposition's mentality. Like, if I was a hedgie, what would I be doing right about now? If I was a bank, what would I do? What kind of scenarios would I want to be best positioned in to, reposition myself with the utmost amount of money at everyone else's expense? And I try and take it from that sort of mentality. If I was the criminal, what would I do? And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. When I look at these small little indicators that mean fuck all to most people, it's bullish for me. So, in that sense, it makes sense to me, but it ain't got to make sense to anyone else. And again, I could be wrong, right?
Yeah. Hey, so let's get the next person. They've been waiting patiently. No offense, Rafiki. You know what I mean? I just want to get to everybody. Who's next? Let's get whoever was next. Somebody start talking. I got your hands
Hey,
up.
boss. Hey, boss.
Yo, yo.
Boss Blunts.
Yo, yo.
Hey, but hey, man, my name's Eric. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear, brother. Go ahead, Eric.
Hey, awesome. Hey, man, I just want to say this, dude, that I found you about 2 months ago on YouTube, and now I just finally found you on Twitter, and I saw your space call. Man, dude, I just want to say you are the fucking man. So I was in a bitch ass relationship with this woman who was my wife, a narcissist. For you to spit the facts and show the facts, and for a narcissistic piece of shit like Kohl'S to still say that you're wrong, and even though you're still showing the facts and how you handled yourself, a narcissist will still say that you're wrong, even that you're showing the fucking facts, and you might drop that bitch and say, well, fuck this shit, you know, and that was it. Fucking classic. You are the man. You rock, and I appreciate everything that you do, that you have taught me and showed me, and how all this shit like intertwines with family banks, is the contracts, all this stuff. I was just blown away, and I've learned a lot too from AMC Bigums as well. But man, I just want to say, dude, thank you so much for what you're doing, man. I guess what I want to say is, so I'm heavily invested with BBIG, Mullen, which cool thing about Mullen, they're in Memphis right now. They're doing their tour. They're really badass. I think in the long term, I think they're going to fucking rock. Who else I'm in? Well, AMC and all that stuff. So we see, and us as a collective in a sense, or individuals, you know, we make our own decisions and our own thoughts and all that stuff. We see the manipulation, we see the barcoding, we see the spoofing, we see the 80% dark pools and stuff. I mean, we see this. So you know that CEOs gotta know this stuff. And why aren't they saying, hey, you know what? I'm gonna get if the CEO is not gonna step up, maybe they could hire their lawyers, say, hey, we need to start going after these fucking short sellers, these criminals, you know, that are bad actors as posing that, you know, they're good for the market and all this stuff. Why aren't they doing something about it? I mean, they're doing the best they can do with their fundamentals. BBIG got me a little scared right now. I'm not going to lie, because their whole management's all fucked up and everything. I really hope the merger happens and all this stuff, and we just go to the moon with them as well. But man, you know, it's just, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, you know, because we know fucking Gary Gensler is a piece of shit. They're not going to do nothing. All these fucking paid politicians, they're all being paid and bought by these, you know, Citadels, Susquehanna, and all that stuff. I mean, why aren't these CEOs stepping up and just saying, hey, you know what? We got lawyers. We're going to go after these fuckers for trying to take down our fucking company and robbing the retail investors. What's your thoughts on that, buddy? And
I
then
don't
I
want
just want to say,
Adam Aaron, for example. I don't want Adam Aaron, and I don't want people to try to go and sue these guys right now. If anything, we can sue the shit out of them after the fact, you know, like for pulling the
okay,
Bible and other situations. But right now, that would do nothing but tie up all our money for years. Our money might be tied
right,
up for 2, 3, 4 years, you know,
right.
before we even, you know, especially with everything right now with the court systems. That'd be the worst thing that could possibly happen to us. So that's why
I got
anytime
you.
anybody brings up going to court, I'm like, man, that sounds great and all, but like that company like NWBO or whatever they were, NWBS, that I have posted up at the top, that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
Citadel and Virtue and Susquehanna and these other market makers. I think that's great, but they're a tiny OTC stock, and they're not
got
held
you.
90% by retail. They don't got apes to save their ass. You know, we're holding it down and preventing them from picking up all the shares that they need to locate to close out their short positions, because we don't
Right.
want to see the stocks go out of business. But that's not the case with NWBS. So for them, they're like, yeah, fuck it, let's sue them. That's the only chance we got. You know what I mean? But
Oh,
for us,
that makes
we're
sense. Well,
buying
you
and
know what?
holding.
I
Yeah.
think what you're saying makes a lot of sense, you know, but for people like you and everyone in this call and in this community, man, let's hold the fort down. Let's keep doing what we're doing, and fuck it. I'm here till the wheels drop off, man, brother. So keep going, keep doing you, man. Uh, dude, you're fucking awesome. Thank you, and I hope everyone has a great day. AMC, baby.
You're too kind, Eric. I truly appreciate you, my man. And just to like a quick point on there is like I've learned a lot from other you know, retailers and other people in the community
Yes,
that,
sir.
you know, we deal with the think tank and in space calls like this. I used to do a lot more of them in the past, and I think I'm going to get back into it because I'm enjoying this conversation a lot.
Well,
A
I
lot
think
more than
for people
yesterday
like
for
you,
sure.
you know, I think for people like you, brother, is the fact that I've seen Matt Kors flip ship. I've seen Froggy get owned on fucking other space calls and shit, and then now he flips shit and whatever because he got fucking owned, you know? And it's just, but for you to still stand up, and for, you know, you're like a diamond in the rough, man. And for us to have someone like you, and, you know, man, I couldn't ask for anything more. And I just want to let you know that even though you may get shit on a lot by bullshit, just remember, man, you still have a lot of people that's behind you and support you all the fucking way. So don't ever get discouraged. Keep doing you, brother, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot to me. The thing is that a lot of people fail to realize when they talk shit about me that I don't give a fuck about anybody's opinion. I didn't get to where I am in life. Like, I grew up poor my whole fucking life. I'm a goddamn millionaire now. And I got there because I don't give a fuck what other people think. I worked my fucking ass off for decades to get here. And it's the same thing with stock market. I don't care if it takes a fucking year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. I don't fucking care. It's not going to take that long. Nowhere. Yeah, fucking right.
Right.
I
Figuratively
don't
speaking.
care how long it takes. I'm going to keep doing what I fucking do. And I know that I'm going to be filthy fucking rich.
Damn right.
And
Hell
it doesn't matter to me. But the thing is, what anybody else thinks. But the thing is, like, I'm like, hey, there's going to be a shitload of people. The 99% are going to be fucking broke and homeless and fucking hurting with this Great Depression that's coming, and the CBDC that's going to fuck everybody, that they're going to try to get people to sign up for via issuing a stimulus when everyone's fucking hurting and jobless. And if I can help some people to open their eyes to what I've learned, and if they can decide for themselves what to do with their money that might possibly help them become fucking filthy rich, then I've helped humanity. And fuck the WEF. And that's the whole purpose, man. It's to help people.
Damn right. And just remember, you have done that, brother. And continue doing it, brother. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. You next, go ahead. You sorry, brother?
Hey, Marcel.
I'm AMC.
Hey, you talked yesterday on Kohl'S Space, and you saw my posts. I wanted to know if you'd be willing. I don't know if you actually have in the space call, but the importance of understanding the true meaning of dark pools and actually what they've been doing illegally behind it, because we know, you and I know, that the dark pools were meant more for institutions and hedge funds to actually do mass orders, things like that. But I don't know how many people actually understand what we're actually seeing, you and I know some people are smart enough to know, that they've been actually pushing all of the actual PFOF orders to block trades onto the actual dark pools, and that's why the numbers are so high. I don't know if you've talked on that, or you can actually just give more people kind of an education on that, because that is something that Kohl'S, the ass, does not understand. You and I do. A lot of people in here who've been here for over 2 years probably understand it, but there's still new people in here. And I just wonder if you could talk on that, because I think it's a good point for education to understand what's been manipulated behind the scenes against AMC, APE, GameStop, and a lot of actually major retail-owned stocks. I don't know if that's something you could do.
Yeah, man, of course. Now, I'm not going to get too much into specifics, but let's put it this way. Every dark pool is an alternative trading system, but not every alternative trading system is a dark pool. That's one thing that fucking, Matt Kohl'S doesn't understand. He doesn't know what the hell that means. And what that means is that there are broker dealers out there that have dark pools and such, and they front run trades through it in order to, in order to issue your shares. And then they go out later on and try to fetch them at a better price, and they make money off the difference. And they do so via, payment for order flow, depending on who they front run. They're front running retail trades, et cetera, and then giving those via the alternative trading system to companies like Virtue and Susquehanna and Citadel, et cetera, market makers. And then there's dark pools, and then companies like Citadel Securities can go through their own dark pool, their Citadel Connect, and they can trade with Citadel Hong Kong the same shares of AMC back and forth. That's what a wash sale is. A wash sale is trading at one from yourself to yourself without any actual change of ownership occurring. They could trade it from their left hand to their right hand from Citadel Securities without it ever fucking leaving Citadel Securities' Chicago office. And that's a theoretical, because the shares aren't really there. I'm just using that as an example of who the owner is. So it's very, very easy for these guys to spoof the trades and to set up who's the buyer and who's the seller and at what price and how many shares. And they could put, theoretically speaking, again, I keep saying that for my own legal liabilities whatever, theoretically, and I'm going to keep saying that word because I'm not going to make accusations to keep myself free of legal liabilities. They could allegedly trade a million shares at the one price, and when it hits the NVBO, it looks as if one fucking share traded, and that prevents proper price discovery.
Well, Marcel, and here's the interesting thing about dark pools, right? The main intention of a dark pool is to reduce volatility by, hiding large trades, right? But if it was to be on the open market, these large block trades decrease the price of the fucking stock by increasing supply of the fucking security. So, you know, these are in essence the misuses of the dark pool. So again, the same thing applies to derivatives. Derivatives have a main function, right? They have a main function, but then they have a sub function that can be misused. And I remember having a chat with Mr. Martin Shkreli. Do you remember, Soika? You had Shkreli in your room and we grilled him about this shit. And one of the main things that I asked him was, even you fuckers don't really understand how derivatives work. And his answer to that question was, yeah, you're kind of right. We don't understand how they're misused. And when he said that to me, I was like, well, I know that you know that I know how they can be misused.
Oop, I'm sorry about that. I just muted you.
No, that's all right, April. But yeah, I
Finally,
mean,
somebody muted Rafiq. No, I'm just kidding.
no, but this is the point, and I'll keep it short and concise, right? The tools that are there to be used for what they're supposed to be for, which is to reduce volatility, has a second effect, a secondary effect, and this is what they're misused for. So in essence, this is why dark pools were created, for the secondary misuse, the same way payment for order flow was not created to benefit us, it was created to benefit them. That's the secondary misuse effect. And most derivatives have a sub function which most people aren't aware of, but this is how the market is misused through, you know, it's supposed to be for this, but it can also do that. They're using it for that, for the latter. Do you know what I mean? It's fucked up.
Hey, see, the other reason why I wanted to bring this up is because, Marcel, I know you know who Average Ape is. Average and I have had many discussions, many nights, about the whole, right now, the dark pool, just a standard dark pool, the main one that seems like everybody uses, right? It's for AMC alone, we've come to a point where we've seen it down $6 billion, negative $6 billion for liquidity in that dark pool because of, you know, pushing price, even though it's not hitting the lit exchange, not changing any price discovery, nothing on the lit exchange. But we're seeing that they were so bad when it came to the dark pools in that one dark pool itself. It was like negative $6 billion that they were in call for liquidity, which I know think that changes quite frequently. But at this point, if that's the case, and they're pushing the price up and then selling it on the lit exchange to short the price itself on the lit exchange, that just proves a point that they're in the hole. And things like what Matt Kors said yesterday just proves the fact that there is no true price discovery when it comes to AMC because of that. That's the point of the dark pools, is it was not meant to put any effect to the actual stock price, because it's, like I said, major hedge funds, market makers, major institutions who purchase, but they don't want to change the price because that would affect everything. You'd see something go up like 3,000%
Yeah, they
if
don't want
an institution
volatility.
bought it. Yeah.
They don't want the
So
stock to rip.
that's
Like when
why
they
I
want to
kind of
just,
wanted to.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that, Batman. You know, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because people don't understand that.
But dark pools, bro, have been 100. When we talk about dark pool abuse, and we talk about payment for order flow, how is that? Like, just explaining the model of payment for order flow, just explaining the model, it's automatically, by definition, you're just abusing dark pools, right? We're talking about it nonstop. We're talking about it's meant for large institutions. It's meant for those large block trades from these large institutions because they don't want the stock to, like you just said, skyrocket, right? You don't want volatility, right? You want to buy 10 million shares of AMC right now today, the price is going to rip, right? And so that's what the purpose of dark pools is, because you have large institutions want to drop 10 million shares at one time. Well, let's put it into dark pools, and we'll put it into the lit market a little bit at a time. Okay, that's the purpose. Well, by definition, payment for order flow, they're buying up our orders. They're paying for our orders. They're bunching it up into large blocks, and then pocketing them into dark pools. And it's like, well, why is my order not going to the lit market? What's my 10 shares? How's that gonna skyrocket the price, right? If the purpose is to keep volatility down, My 10 shares is not going to make the stock go volatile. You know what I mean? Everybody, like a couple of people buying 5, 10, 12. Okay, it's not supposed to make it volatile, right? So the whole idea of dark pools and for it to not really affect the price, to say it's not affecting the price, it's freaking stupid, dude. It's dumb that they're saying that. Like that Matt said that shit. It's like, dude, of course it's affecting the price. If my buy orders actually freaking go straight to lit market, it's gonna actually affect the price. When it goes to dark pools, we're not getting any price discovery. You know? And I've always said it, bro. Payment for order flow is like, you can't. How can you not abuse it? And then when you have payment for order flow, you're taking retail orders, bunching it up into large blocks. Not only are you abusing dark pools, how are you not front running? By definition, you're front running. What, you're trading and your orders, like the market maker, they sends their they send their orders to the lit market. How are you not front running if you're sending your orders first straight to lit market, yet our orders get parked in dark pool?
Hey,
How's
Babin.
that? How's that possible?
I know.
It's not.
Here's my analogy. So PFOF and dark pools are the evil twin sisters of a fake coin at this point, because
Yo, space call crashed. Everybody, my apologies. As you can imagine, we had too many people up on the panel. We let up like 12 people and it crashed the call. We got to make sure that we don't let more than like 9 people up at the tops to talk. But I just made some invites here. Let me get everybody right back up here. We're just going to keep going right where we left off. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody on YouTube, everybody on Twitter. I appreciate all of you guys. But yeah, the space call crashed. We had like about 800 people in the space call and like 900 people still on YouTube. God bless you all. Wish you all peace and wealth. We're gonna be filthy fucking rich. And let's just keep this going for let's try it for another half hour or whatnot, and see what we got. I've got a little bit of time left here. Yeah, Batman, man, thanks for coming back in here. Appreciate you. Not much. Just trying to get everybody back up here. If you guys have anything you want to talk about in the meantime, by all means, go for it. If you just joined in and you were on the panel, raise your hand and I'll bring you back up. Everybody just request. Put your hands up.
Of course.
Go ahead, bro.
I'm not gonna even accept Rafiki. Get out of here, Rafiki. He's coming up here. Nah, but yo, I have one question because we saw like today. What was really significant about today? The AMC just started moving today, right? Don't make sense, right? Why AMC went from $7 to like 9.15 at one point, and then they brought it back down. Consolidate. If when you gotta remember this, right? When they rip a price up and they bring it down, what they're trying to put into your brain is like, damn, the AMC. Oh my God, the stock ripped to X amount. Man, I should have got out at that amount. Now it's trading at this level. But you know what it is? We've been at these levels for so long. We've seen these numbers. nobody's really feeling that emotion really at these levels. You can see that they shorted ladder did pretty much once it hit 915. Not really a big fucking deal. We've seen that shit before. End of the day, we're still green on the day. It's the most important thing, right? But I think I was trying to think about today, like what's the significance of today? Like why is it moving today? Right? And there's two different things that I'm thinking about why AMC might be moving today. Number one is, well, yesterday was the last short interest reporting day, right? So they had to report the short interest yesterday, right? And so for the next 2 weeks, whatever happens with the price of AMC, let's say AMC rips the next 2 weeks, just goes crazy, right? And then the next short interest report we get will be for November 30th, right? So you see end of November short interest report, and you say, whoa, what the fuck? Short interest is super high, but then if you see them starting to, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, maybe it's possible. Maybe we see some short interest getting covered in the next 2 weeks, but everybody thinks that everybody might look at the short interest data that comes out for end of November and thinks that that's the actual number. Obviously, it's 2 weeks late, right? So I'm thinking it could be that, or it could be maybe because it's the start of December and it's leading up to the end of the year, and maybe it's something to do with the hedge funds P&L, end of the year P&L, and they know that they don't want to go into the end of the year with losses and closing some short positions. It'll show green in their portfolio. So maybe it's something to do with that. So
Might be.
my thought.
I still do think that a lot of it might have to do with the 90 calendar day theory of the broker dealers liquidating or margin calling the the short syndicate that was supposed to issue the shares of APE, the dividend shares of APE to retail, because obviously we all know there was 43 million failures to deliver just on that first day. Therefore, we know that they were short, and all these people, people in Europe, people in like Canada and stuff, some had to wait a week, 2 weeks to get their APE shares because these guys had to wait and push the shills like Matt Kors and Wrench Capital and all these other guys to go on YouTube and say, I'm selling my APE shares. APE's a terrible buy. Meanwhile, they're over there spoofing the prices and committing wash sales and so on, allegedly, so that they can bring that price down and down and down and down and cause that in retail's head. Be like, oh shit, this shit's going down to zero. Let me sell APE and get back into AMC. I didn't buy APE. I bought AMC. But they fail to realize that APE is AMC. You know what I mean? It's like if you sold your APE, in my opinion, I think you're a fucking dumbass. No offense, you can do whatever you want with your money. That's just my opinion of you, and my opinion of you shouldn't matter because you do whatever the fuck you want with your money. But yeah, I haven't sold. I bought more. I bought another $100,000 worth of AMC and APE in one shot, and I can tell you I got thousands and thousands of more since then. I'm sure some of you guys might have seen it on YouTube. But yeah, that's not a big deal to me. I still believe that a lot of it has to do with the 90-day theory there of the short syndicate having to close out positions on, having to deliver those shares of APE, and that's evidenced by the volume today of APE being what, like 90 fucking million instead of the average of 17 million per day.
Well, I don't discredit that, boss, and just
It's
for
not the only thing.
educational
There's just
purposes,
one
I'm
thing,
going to
right?
ask a question,
Just to
right?
finish.
Would the T plus 90 apply if it was an IPO? And obviously, of course, this wasn't an IPO. So
It's not T plus 90, it's C90, calendar days, 90 calendar days. So it's not an IPO per se, but the dividend share did have to be distributed, and the ex-dividend date was the IPO date, if that makes sense. I read it in the FINRA regulations 11880.
I get that. I get that. But what I'm saying is that APE, the initial APE wasn't a initial public offering. It was a dividend, right?
Correct. But not to cut you off, but that's why I got to stop you there, because it did IPO on the dividend date. The disbursement, it has to be distributed by somebody, and it's distributed by the syndicate. The syndicate are the shorts. The shorts had to be the ones who distributed it, and that makes it an IPO. And because they had to distribute and the APE shares, that makes that the IPO. It's not an initial public offering. It's just the initial, like them bringing it to the market for the first time. It's the initial public offering distribution of the dividend, and that's how the syndicate is created, and that's the short syndicate. But again, even if I'm wrong,
they need to rename it to IPD, initial public dividend.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that because it's the same thing to them. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same shit to them. Like, they see it the same way. These rules are very vague for a reason, But then in addition, then there are also, annual contracts. that we've seen like last year, for example, in like October, November and stuff, we started seeing some crazy price action. That could be yearly swaps and things like that, or 6-month swaps that had to be rolled, or quarterly swaps that had to be rolled before the end of the quarter, and they could be doing that as well. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's evidenced by the 90 million almost volume of APE. They could very easily, buy a shitload of them from retailers that have sold them, and then trade them amongst each other, short sell, like spoof them between each other to bring that price back down. That's how come they were able to trade so many and the price of APE go up so much, and then they bring it back down, so it ends the day up only a couple percentage points. And that's why I think it's an absolutely fantastic buy right now, because they're not going to be able to do that forever. Let's go to the next question. Citizen, if you want to go ahead, brother.
Yeah, two questions. What do you guys think of what's happening with banks today? So very interesting, heavy put volume on XLF, on the banks, and you see Citi and JPM absolutely bombing today. I know maybe it's coincidental with the rate interest, maybe the interest rates being lowered, and we all know that interest rates hikes benefit the banks, but I think it's much more sinister than that. One question. Two, do you believe that AMCs and APE together, the AMC one basket, right? The margin for error has shrunk. Meaning, if we saw in February, in March, I believe, they halted us at 34 and they went full board with a short attack and lowered us down. And then a couple of months ago, they had to pull from Berkshire Hathaway and Apple during the halt to put us down. Today, I think the level that they cannot afford AMC one, and which includes AMC and APE, is about $10-11. What do you guys think about that? Are we getting close where their margin of error is getting smaller and smaller by the day? What do you guys think?
Just a little addition to that, bro. In England alone, right? We've got branches of HSBC, Barclays, Halifax, Lloyd's. That they're all closing branches all over the fucking shop. And in relation to JP Morgan, these are some pretty fucking big ass banks that these fuckers function through as well. So it's worth taking that into account. Not only are banks in trouble in Canada, Australia, America, and various
I
other
think
countries.
I think the big one is City, to be honest with you. I think City might be really in trouble, and I don't think we really know what's going on underlining, but I think City might be the fall guy. It's just my opinion, but I think that's what's happening.
Let the banks drop. It could be what you said though. Interest rate, because of the drops, maybe people start pulling out. Like, all right, they're lowering interest rates. These banks are not making money. Maybe they're selling their shares for that. But
These puts were
I don't know.
These puts were bought a week ago, so somebody knew exactly before the interest rates thing. So I'm just wondering. We all know how they like to orchestrate these things to make them look like, because of this happened, but we know there's more sinister events happening. Yeah. So it's very interesting to keep an eye on that.
Would it make sense to suggest that the fact that AMC chose City to deal with the APE offering and all that sort of shit, would it make sense to suggest that they're probably the least riskiest?
I don't believe so, but I believe they needed someone to execute the transaction. City, whether it was City or JP Morgan, I don't think it really matters. I think the bank's health. I'll be interested in the Q4 when the Fed does the bank stress tests. What's really happening? That's why I think Q4 in January will be very interesting. Not only for equities, but who leads off earnings will be banks. I think it'll be very interesting. I think we'll get to see the real picture of what's going on with the banks and the health of the equities in general.
It's a good point you said though. Like, where does it matter? Because a lot of people always say, "Yo, why is Adam Aaron sending the shares to Citi? Why are they sending it to Goldman? Why are they sending it to JP Morgan?" It's like, bro, what options does he have, dude? What is he gonna? He's gonna distribute the shares, or he's gonna, you know what I mean? Like he's gonna come on, like those are the brokers, bro. You know what I mean? It's sort of
It
like, yo,
doesn't
why are
matter.
you
Yeah,
using Robinhood?
it doesn't
Why are you
matter.
using Webull?
Absolutely.
Those are payment for
There's only
brokers,
so
but
many
you know what I mean.
that can do that. Very few people can do that shit.
You
Very
don't
few
have much
companies can do that
options.
shit. Yeah, when you're in the stock market, you got to dance with the devil. That's it. Like, just not to be like brush you off. That's not my intention, but it's really that simple.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to pick the lesser evil.
Yeah. I mean, Adam Aaron chose JP Morgan to execute his orders. I mean, at the end of the day, you just need a bank to execute these orders,
Yeah.
regardless of who's friend and who's foe. these are the guys who can execute the order. But anyone have an idea about the margin of error on AMC and APE together? I really believe their margins are shrinking because the halts are coming. You know,
I agree with
the
you,
margin.
by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. That everything is like the liquidity's tightening up, the margins are tightening up, the collateral is tightening up. Everything is working against them right now. Then you got Gary Gensler out there, who is surprisingly, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but he's pushing for like changes in regulation, not responding to the FOIA requests by Virtue. They're being sued by Virtue Financial as of a couple days ago because the SEC didn't respond to their FOIA because they're just talking about market reform and shit like that. And Virtue's freaking out. That's why they're suing them. They want answers and they want it now. So they're trying to sue the SEC to get those answers and shit like that. So I'm not saying this is that one thing, but overall, yes, man. Like these guys are fighting for their life every day, and every day, like they got a fucking noose around their neck and they're on their tippy toes right at the edge of the fucking cliff, you know? Who wants to go next? Courier?
No, Rye had his hand up for 5 years, and so
Yeah.
let's
Go,
go.
Rye. Go ahead, Rye. My apologies.
No career. Who cares that Rye had his hand up? We're gonna go with career, because career, you're gonna be rude, and you're gonna go before Rye. Because I have the mute button, so I'm sorry, Rye.
Anyways, he had his hand up before, and then he took it down. Anyways,
I know.
I'll say my piece. I'm in Citizens camp. I really think it's the liquidity. It's all of the pressures around collateral, liquidity, ISDA, and it's slowly starting to have its effects on their liquidity. They can't kick cans down the road as much with ISDA, and I think it's like a vice, and the vice is being tightened in all directions. And I think that's certainly why we're seeing the banks are starting to pucker. When the banks start to pucker, that means that everybody who gets their money from them or has things that they owe the bank, it's time to pay the piper. It's time to give those shares back to the bank, and so the bank can increase its liquidity. So I think I'm in your camp, Citizen, about that. The second point I wanted to make, and I only heard part of the Kohl'S, or I listened to part of the Kohl'S and Boss Blunt's Spacecall, and I just can't understand Kohl'S saying that about APE. I mean, APE it's an equity dividend for all the shareholders, but it's also a tool for the company when the price is right to cash in and pay down the debt significantly. So I just don't understand this. His thesis about, well, it's I bought into AMC. I didn't buy into APE. It just doesn't make any sense for me. When APE gets to the right price, and in fact, I was hoping that Adam had actually sold that 400 million when the price was $10. I know that a lot of the apes didn't want him to do that because they thought it would dilute the stock. But we've seen when there has been a sale like that, it's done the opposite. So I wish he would have sold it when it was around $10. He would have had $4 billion. He could have slapped $3 billion of that on the debt and used the other $2 billion to buy some of these other great cinemas out that went bankrupt, and to make AMC stronger, and even put more money into some of these other projects that the whole ideas group is putting forward. So yeah, that's the points I wanted to make. Thanks.
Yeah, those are great points. And just to tell you something, it's like, you know what? It's either ignorance or it's willful denial. Either someone's getting paid to say these things or they don't understand. And I don't know if you noticed if you heard the part of the space call where I mentioned AMC1 derivatives for the first time, the AMC1 derivatives basket. He literally said, "What's AMC1?" And I'm like, "The derivatives basket." He goes, "What's that? You mean the options?" I said, "No, AMC1 is the derivatives basket that holds AMC and APE. It's the true value of AMC. That's why you received an APE share for every AMC share." He goes, "Oh, no, those are just contracts." The guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. But I didn't tell him that. I literally explained it to him. Because unlike him, I didn't just try to gaslight him and say, "You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about." I explained everything that he asked me to explain to show to you, retail, that I know what I'm talking about, and he doesn't. You know what I mean? So
That's the most annoying thing that he was doing was, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, what do you mean?
Can
You
I
don't
finish
know.
the third point? Can I finish the third point, Batman? I want to say that, you know, and I have great respect for you, Boss Blunts, and for other people like you, Batman and Citizen and Average Ape, who do a lot of this research. But you know, whoever's right or wrong, having this kind of, you know, sort of strife. This is exactly what the hedge funds want. And I'm not saying, you know, you're the cause of this, but I'm just saying we play right into the hedge funds' hands because they want division. The more we have division, the better it is for them. That, you know, I mean, when we start seeing cracks and major cracks, then you know, it doesn't do I think the AMC any good, the retail investors any good. So, you know, and I'm
Fair
not
point.
pointing fingers at anybody. I'm just saying I just don't think it's good for any of us as retail investors to have these major.
yeah, brother. And I agree with you on that sense with people that are willing to have a good conversation, right? But you heard how the conversation went yesterday. You heard the way that he tried to deflect and just try to, you know, like make jabs at my character because I made a small mistake in the beginning. And I owned up to it. I said, oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I made a mistake on that. Here, I pulled up the document, you know, and then I continued on and I proved everything else with the documents open in front of me. This is what this is what that is. And he refused it. Instead of, you know, proving me wrong, he just said, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. But the thing is, if you go look at Matt Kohrs' Twitter right now and go look at his YouTube, just go to his Twitter right now and look at his last 50 tweets. They're all talking shit about Adam Aron and Ape. So because of that, he's not doing he's not keeping the community together. He is dividing the community by making people like everyone in here and everyone else on Twitter and YouTube think that there's something wrong with Ape, putting them against Adam Aron, putting them against us, and making them think that Ape is worthless when it's not. It's literally half the fucking value of AMC.
I agree with you there. I agree with you.
Because of that, I had to step up. I had to challenge him. And because he unblocked me for that brief moment, and somebody had posted in the Discord, yo guys, yo guys, Matt Kohrs is on the Discord, is in the Twitter space call right now talking shit. Here's a link to the space call. I put my headset on. I fucking sat down my computer real quick, hit the record button, and then I was taking care of my kids, cooking dinner while I was talking to him. You know, so I didn't even have half my mental capacity at work there when I was treating his ass. It literally was so easy to deflect him and to prove him wrong. And I did it simply for retail so that retail can see that Ape is not a bad thing. The issuance of more Ape shares is not a bad thing. The issuance of AMC shares in the past is not a bad thing. But, you know, because every single time that's happened, the share price has gone up, you know. And anyways, when people like that are bad mouthing my favorite stock that I got hundreds of thousands of fucking dollars in, I'm not going to do it to start a fight with him and divide the community, but I'm going to do it to bring people together so that they understand and they can research it for themselves and they can see other viewpoints instead of just blindly following somebody who's bad mouthing Adam Aron in the stock. That's why I had to do it, man.
Yeah, and I agree. It's not right for him to badmouth Aaron Adams, and if he's badmouthing the stock, why is he holding it? If he's even holding it, get out of it and get into something else.
Yeah, move on, dude. Like, yo, if I'm complaining because my arm is fucked up, I go to the doctor, get it fixed, move on, bro. Move on with your life. This dude's, if you're complaining about a stock, okay, leave. Close your position, go. Nobody's holding you. Look at Trey, bro. He's like, all right, I'm gone. That's it. Nobody's talking about Trey anymore. He's doing his thing. Okay, goodbye. We don't need, Matt, if you tell me like that, my thing with Matt is, okay, you're going to host a space. Okay, you're talking about Ape, talking shit about Ape. Okay. Talking shit about AMC, talking about its debt, talking about Adam Aron, trashing Adam Aron, doing this. Bro, okay, so you don't like AMC's got debt, you don't like Adam Aron, you don't like Ape, you don't like this, you don't like. So why are you long on AMC, bro? Right? Like, why is this guy long on AMC if he's so bearish on AMC? He's only things that he wants to hear is anything that's bearish about AMC. That's the only thing he wanted to hear yesterday. Like, the moment I told him that movie theaters do good on a recession, the dude lost his shit. He's like, no, what? Like, they were like, no, they don't. How are you gonna spend more money? I'm like, how are you even saying that, bro? Like, just go Google. What do you have to do? Like, bro, Google that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, simple shit like that. If someone tells me, yo, AMC, bullish, this, that, and the other thing, I'm gonna look it up myself, right? You're long on a stock. Someone says something good about your stock. You're gonna be like, yo, thank you. Hold up, wait, that's good. Okay, let me take that. That's good. That's important. Let me, let me look into that. not fucking throwing bad shit. It's like, no, like he refused to hear good news about AMC. Like he didn't want to hear anything good or positive. He only wanted negative. That's not normal to be long on a stock and you only want to hear negative shit about your stock. That's not fucking normal. You know? No, it's my.
Now, I like to, first off, appreciate Boss Bones for allowing me on the call. And
My bad, Renee.
I've been a part of this community since about late February 2021. And what I feel as if, like, listening to the space call yesterday is it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that somebody that was a part of a lot of the reasons why a lot of people on this call are a part of AMC and AMC One are flipping the script and turning into models for YouTube as opposed to being in it for the people that they were representing in the first place. And with that, I do appreciate the fact that, boss, you were bringing up actual facts that at the time, instead of Matt saying, "Oh, I don't know if this pertains to what you're saying, and let me look it up," he just automatically said, "No, that doesn't work. You're wrong," which is not the appropriate thing to do. We were a community back in 2021. We were all here together back in 2021. This is a very critical moment at this point. There's going to be a lot of people who fall off, not just when it comes to those who are representing and giving us information, but also to those who are part of this, who are coming in, who are new, who are listening to this decisive and divisive, this is divisive talk between each other and saying, "Oh, well, I don't know if I should do this." You know, there should be no reason for that. This is way bigger than just us. We're talking about banks, politicians. Adam Aaron is doing everything he can to make sure that he's doing his part into making this work out for us. We're doing everything we can to make sure that we are doing what we can to make this work out for us. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we keep ourselves together. We do our own due diligence. Batman said it correctly. Whatever information comes out, it's not up to us to just believe what's being heard. We need to go through the filings. We need to go through the numbers. We need to go through the information and weave and go through and nitpick every little thing, because everything that's happening, it's not illegal. It's just abuse. Those are two totally different things. And anybody can abuse anything, but they're not going to go to jail for that. They're not going to get in trouble for that. We're talking about millions of dollars for billions of dollars being stolen. That is something totally asinine, and we're in this for the long run. This is one of the longest roads we might be going on, and we need to stick together with this. And so I appreciate the fact, Boss Blunts, Batman. I saw Jackson Hunter here a little bit earlier. These are people who were here since day one, and we need to stick together as a unit to make this happen. That's all.
Much love, Ryan. That's the case. You're absolutely right, dude. People got to, retail. It's the retail versus the world, man. These big banks and institutions don't want any of us to win. That's why buy and hold has been so fucking powerful, because it's the only thing they can't stop. Citizen, you want to go ahead, brother?
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, Adam Aaron is the CEO of the company. His job is to basically build the fundamentals, the future of AMC and its business core. His job is not to set up a squeeze. To be perfectly honest with you guys, these guys who come up and say, "Why isn't Adam Aaron doing this and why isn't Adam Aaron doing that?" I think you're out of bounds. You're not understanding the definition of a CEO, and I think that's a problem. Second thing, this play has always been about leverage, boss, and I believe you believe, like me, that this market has to crash because shorts have to be compelled to sell their longs. Rafiki thinks, I think we melt up. Regardless, I think we're all in agreement that this play will squeeze. The one thing that we are missing in this play, and I believe it's coming, is a major catalyst for them to actually crash this market. And I do believe the major catalyst will be China invading Taiwan. I know it's not a popular opinion, but I really do believe that's exactly what's going to happen. If you set the scenario that China invades Taiwan, absolutely decimates the semiconductor industry, because Taiwan Semiconductor basically produces every single piece that goes in every single semiconductor in the world, right? I think that's the pretext. I really do believe, as unfortunate as it is, every squeeze has to have a catalyst, and I believe one of these, a possible attack on Taiwan might be the catalyst. What do you guys think?
Oh, without a doubt, bro. The day that China decides to invade Taiwan, if that happens in the near future, which I think it's going to, you're going to see massive, massive collapse of the stock market all around the world. Stock equities markets around the world, dude. Because that's World War III right there. 100%. We've also been saying that for months. Not trying to take credit for what you just said, but I completely agree with you.
Well, I mean, the writing's on the wall, boss. I mean, you can tell it's coming, right? I mean, China's hoarding gold, right? Uh, Something has to give to distract what's happening in China and Wuhan and in the provinces now with Apple, the riots. Something has to be a distraction. And at the same time, the stock market has to have a reason, has to have an excuse to crash the market. 2 years ago, it was, you know what it was. I don't want to mention it. Now it has to be something else. And I really do believe the whole Ukraine, Russia money laundering thing with the for the fall of FTX has pretty much played its role. It's pretty much done. I think we move on to the next catalyst. As unfortunate as it is, I think that's what's going to happen. That's real life.
It's very hard to predict catalysts. It's usually something like you don't expect. It's just boom, it happens. Oh shit! Well, that's the catalyst. You know what I mean? Really hard to predict it or predict what it is and when it happens. I mean, if you've seen it on Twitter, you've seen it all the time. Oh, on this date or that date, it's gonna happen. This date, that date. It's good to look at dates, look at information, see what's going on. But with catalysts, it's just like you don't know what it is, what's gonna cause it to move.
Actually, you could have saw the Ukraine Russia war about 3 years ago, when NATO was coming closer and closer to Russia's border. You can see the writing on the wall. So I agree with you, Batman. But at the same time, these things tend to come into fruition.
Absolutely, brother. Anybody else got any questions there? If you got your hand raised, go ahead.
I do. Hi, how are you all? AMC long holder. I'm a holder not for the squeeze. I'm a holder because of discretionary expenditure. As Batman even said, it goes up during recession. So I'm a holder because as part of my portfolio, I must hold a percentage of oil and all these other categories and everything like that. And AMC, as one of the best run operators of movie theater chains in the world and the largest one, of course, I'm going to hold it. But I do disagree a little bit with Citizen, because we as shareholders, we do need to challenge people. We do have to challenge the status quo. We have to. We can't just accept a CEO being able to speak and do things on their ways, and as shareholders not challenge that. So I do feel that we are entitled to challenge that. We do. We are entitled to ask why AMC instead of paying more debt, which I've spoken a lot about it, because we're wasting a lot of our resources on interest rate on a quarterly basis. It's okay to ask those questions. It doesn't make you less of a shareholder, Citizen. The same way that as a holder of Boeing air manufacturer, no one asked the production of the 737 MAX and its failures that caused over 500 people to die worldwide. Like, those are questions that you must ask as a shareholder.
Okay, so what is the question you want to ask, if you don't mind me asking?
Very simply, prioritization of debt repayment has always been my priority, and I have always shared on all spaces of apes that I have been in it. It is my main priority and main goal. That is what it is. And the wasteful resources that was applicable to HYMC, which has nothing to do with running a movie chain business, which could have also increased or speed up the process of going into market or with popcorn in the Walmarts and Targets and all around the world. It could have speed up the process. And it could have generated fresh new revenue.
So you don't believe a company has a right to make an investment outside of its business
No.
core?
I believe a company has absolute the right to do anything, citizen. What I'm stated to you, sir, is us shareholders are entitled to question the CEO. They are. That's why we are shareholders. They work for us. He works for us. We don't work for them. And with that said, my point of view is completely different than yours. You're entitled to, and I'm entitled to my views too, of how the money is spent that was raised during dilution in the past years.
What dilution? When has AMC diluted its shares? If you don't
Yeah,
mind me asking.
absolutely. Well, we diluted right in 2021, right? In
We did.
May.
We did, and it caused a massive run up. We went to
Absolutely, but
$77, you know.
yeah,
And
absolutely. But do you understand my point?
You're talking about Mudrick Capital, which basically led to us reaching 72, right? That's what
No,
you're
sir,
talking about?
sir. Hold on a second.
it's okay, go ahead, brother. You're just making sure we understand. You're
Yeah,
fine. Please
I
continue.
don't disagree with dilution, citizen. Like, I'm not in any way against it. My only point where I came up and I disagree with your statement, sir, was very simple. We shouldn't. Adam Aaron is doing everything possible that he can do to for the future of the company, and we shouldn't ask questions. Yes, we should. We're shareholders.
I don't believe I said we shouldn't ask questions. I said his
I agree.
primary
We should
job is
ask
to run the
questions,
company.
but at the end of the day, we got to realize that whether we like it or not, we're not on the board of directors, and we're not the CEO, and we don't know the vast majority of things that are actually happening with AMC in the background and behind closed doors. So as much as I don't mean this in a bad way, we're shareholders, right? So we have a
But
say
let's
in
vote.
some
Let's
things.
vote.
But
But
that's why. Let me just finish real
sir,
quick. I just want to say that we should have a right to like vote on things, and sure, but there's a lot of things that you just kind of got to go with, man, with companies and with like my corporation, and if we go public, or should I say when we go public with my corporations, I'm not going to let shareholders dictate every single thing. Sure, you've got to make them happy, but you can't let them run your company. And why is that? No, for not you, but the majority of people, 99% of people are not owners. They're employees of a company, and that means that they don't really know shit about running a company and what that takes. And that's the same reason people are so worried that AMC has $5 billion in debt. That's nothing, my man. Coca-Cola's got like $100 billion in debt, and they're making bank. As well as many other companies, Apple and all these other, they got shitloads. Maybe not Apple, but sorry, they got shitloads
no,
of
Apple
debt.
has a lot of debt too.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with having a lot of debt for a corporation
Nothing
because
wrong.
they're roll it over and reduce interest rates and such, pay
Yeah,
it off
but
early and things like that.
latest rollover was not a good rollover.
Are you kidding me? No, I'm sorry. Let me get better. Dude, it was a fucking fabulous rollover. It was fabulous. We saved like $300 million in interest, bro. Like $300
Yeah,
million.
I'm sorry.
And we reduced our interest rate. Interest rates right now, for when they first got that debt, I think it was like a 10%, like a 12% interest rate. And the interest rates back then by the federal government were like near zero. And now they saved hundreds of millions of dollars. They rolled over that debt, and the interest rate went from like 12% to 14%. So even though interest rates by the Federal Reserve have gone up by several hundred basis points, they only paid a fraction of that in increased interest. You know what I mean? So they're only paying a fraction more interest than they were previously. So they reduced debt from their books. They saved hundreds of millions of dollars in the short term, and in the long term, they're going to save even more because of that very, very low increase in interest compared to the very high increase in the federal funds rate.
Yeah,
Does that
but
make sense, brother?
I would like to make a clarification. I said
Mm-hmm.
Adam Aaron is the CEO of the company, and his job is to run the company. I never once said, and I can go back and check. I never once said we don't have a right to question or ask questions. I don't know where you got that from, and if you misunderstood me, I apologize, but I never said that.
I don't think I did say that you did, but whatever. My
No,
apologies
Weeds.
if I
I'm talking
did.
to Weeds,
No, I said
not you.
I don't think you said that, but yeah, I agree with you. That was not said, and fair enough, my friend. Fair enough. Thank you for clarifying. Truly, but yeah, I do think it was an absolutely fabulous, fabulous thing for them to do. You know what I mean? To roll over
So
that.
I disagree. right? Unfortunately, because their bond sale in October was at a 14% yield.
Right.
And at the
And
end
now
of the
it's
day,
16%.
sorry?
And now it's only 16% or so, but the federal funds rate didn't go up by 200 basis
No,
points. It went up by like
so
500
Butcher,
basis points.
so this is where we both, as business owners, we disagree then, okay? And because when you are renegotiating debt and rolling them over to 2025, 2026, knowing, and you know better than me probably, that interest rates are not going to last forever at this rate, right? As the Fed will have to pivot and then we'll adjust it to make sure that economy doesn't go in a deep depression. So it activates the economy again with a interest rate going back to 2 to 1.5 and so on percent. But when you grab that 400 million junk bond that they concluded, and instead of 14 even jump to 15 yield from their old debt that was 12, shows desperation.
Oh, not at all, man. Not at all. They literally they were able to improve they saved like $250 million, by doing that. They
So
saved $250 million
that's
right
not
off
on
the
an
bat.
annual. That's not on an annual basis, and that's calculating that
That's
the
total.
interest rate will, will continue to rise.
No. That's total.
Yeah.
That was owed.
Yeah.
No, that was the total amount owed from now through the end of the term. So if they would have just kept paying it off without rolling it over right now, that's how much money they would have spent more than they are under the current deal. Okay. So they paid off debt and they refinanced it for a slightly higher interest rate, but they also took out much more money. It removed covenants that prevented them from doing things, and it saved them hundreds of millions of dollars, my friend. So we're going to have to agree to disagree, and you know what I mean? But I thought it was
Absolutely. But the
wonderful.
problem that I find, Butcher, is that in April of 2020, I know it's been a long time, but in April 2020, there was a junk bond sale sold, $500 million at a 10.5 points.
Right.
Okay. Then we sell 2 years later, 400 million at a 15 points.
Yes.
As you said, that is okay. All large caps have it, and you can just keep rolling over. But the challenge is that there's going to be a point where your rollover, as it's occurring right now, your interest rate is rising too fast, which then your rollover won't happen anymore, where it benefits you, and it will caught up where you will no longer generating operating profits because of interest charges to it. As we wasted close to $600 million in the first half of 2022 in interest rate to hedge funds and bankers.
Mm-hmm. That's what loans are, man. They charge you interest and you have to pay it. The thing is, they took out a bigger loan. So they paid off the other one, saved hundreds of millions of dollars in repayments, then took out a bigger loan.
That's the total savings for the entire fiscal year.
263 million. That's huge. That's huge. You know what I mean?
That's 1.8% of the long-term debt.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. 1% is massive because they paid it off and then they rolled it over. And again, remember, keep in mind the federal funds rate went up like 500 basis points from the time when previously when they first had that. And
okay. Can I just share something different then? Because I was completely totally 100% against this APE preferred share because it was a fucking debacle. But
I disagree, but that's okay.
That's
man.
okay. Again, right? And I love that we can have a back and forth without muting, like Twisted does, or Keith the short small penis does, and things like that. I love it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I actually got a picture of Keith the small dick. If you want me to send it to you,
no, thank you. No, thanks.
but here's what I have a problem. Okay. Courier, I don't know, I can't pronounce his name. He's like one of those little cartoon things from Adam's Family, I think it is. He's just down there. He was suggesting that I wish that all the 4 billion shares of apes were on the markets, okay, and then we can pay off the debt and we look flawless. Yeah, cool. Do you wish the same thing that would occur? Sorry,
for AMC to pay off their debt.
Well, reduce their debt. Reduce their debt.
But do you wish that to occur?
Yeah, I wish they would.
It'll
I
be
wish.
nice, but it's not high on my wish list, to be honest with you. It'll be
Cool.
nice because the short thesis is not going to, they're not going to just cover their short positions or close their short positions if AMC pays off their debt. It's not going to
Okay,
happen. So like
for sure.
because this isn't a fundamental play. It's great for their fundamentals, but this isn't a fundamental investment, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. What would happen if we increase the supply from 500 million to 4.5 billion?
Of ape shares,
Mm-hmm.
they would the stock price if they issued those and started selling them, it would cause the stock price to go up a lot. A lot.
So you said you have a business, right, Butcher?
Several, yes, sir.
Beautiful. Let's say that you have a business of stocks, okay? And then you have stocks that you have 1 million stocks in your warehouse right there, okay? Okay.
Okay.
And you're selling 100 stocks a day. So that generates you, let's just give a round number, 1,000 stocks a day. So you got 30,000 stocks a month, okay? So you have enough supply for a good 3 years, correct?
Okay.
Just a fast math, okay? 3 years, cool. Then suddenly you someone in your buying department to make a mistake and then orders 1 billion stocks, okay? But you're still capped at only selling 30,000 stocks a day, a month, okay, sir?
Sure.
What would you do? What would you do as a business owner? Because you don't have money to buy another warehouse to store those 1 billion stocks. So what would you do with the price of your stocks to pump more stocks to be sold?
The analogy and this exercise doesn't really fit with the stock market because they've already got the ability to issue those other billion shares.
Okay.
You know, and another thing with the analogy is that sadly, like the shares in my warehouse of stock are not being shorted. If they were, I'd issue another. I'd have to push another issuance.
Can we make a different example? You made a
Sure.
statement that AMC equals to APE half and half, right, sir? 50-50?
That's what it was. That's what it was when
Beautiful.
it first was issued, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's all good. Yeah, absolutely, sir. Yeah, and I know that some of you guys got different payouts, like we did here in Canada, where we got a payout as a dividend at 1 penny. Yeah, and then
No. We did not get cash. We only got shares of APE.
No, we got shares
cash
too, but at a value of a penny average price. That's how we got paid here in Canada. Okay, so let's figure this out in here for a second. Okay, so AMC, let's say $9 today. Okay, $9 today, 516 million shares. So that gives about a 4.6 billion crew of market cap. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So then we go and we added another not because AMC equals to APE, but APE's value is attached to AMC, right? At the end of the day, because APE doesn't produce revenue, APE doesn't produce anything because APE is AMC. At the end of the day, it's a preferred share, like Berkshire Hathaway has preferred shares or Google has preferred shares, right? It's attached to the value, right? Okay. So then we go and we flood the market with apes. Yeah. So we go and we do just the first batch. Okay. The 483 million shares. That's with Citi Bank. Out of the 1 billion, good to go. That was approved in 2013, way before the squeeze and all the fun things that occurred. So the $483 million got flooded in the market. Yeah. Why do you think Citi is controlling the flood onto the market? Do you think there's buyers for all those 483, sir?
Absolutely. I think shorts would love to buy those things. Absolutely, in my mind, without question.
So if absolutely the buyers would like to purchase those things, and then we're trading at $1, okay? So why an AMC is technically speaking running out of cash before they go into their line of credit, real cash, hardcore cash in their bank account. We're running low, okay?
They have 900 million in the bank, bro. 900 million, almost $1 billion.
Excluding the line of credit, sir, 657.
Right. Okay. So they got 657 million. Plus, actually, no. Hold on.
Yeah, it is, Butcher, because I read their report, and I love.
I have it in front of me. Right here.
Take a look at that.
In the final quarter, in the second quarter,
cash disposable, excluding line of credit, sir.
All right, let me take a look here.
Thank you.
Just so we can be sure, right?
Beautiful.
Thanks. They got available liquidity of 1.176 billion. And then the actual cash, let me find the operating cash. For the quarter was positive 52 million. Available liquidity was $1.176 billion.
Remove that because there's part of that in the line of credit, sir.
Right. They had $400 million line of credit, so they got like $650-700 million.
Okay, got it right. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love reading shit. So okay, so we got $650 million, $670 million, right, in cash, right? And then you see over there in the report how much money are they burning per quarter, sir?
Well, here you have to take into advantage. You have to keep in mind that they bought 46 theaters over the last like 6 months. So
no, sir. I'm just speaking about this last quarter. It shows over there what is
this last quarter they bought like 28 or 29 theaters.
No, I understand that, sir. No, I
so
understand
that's
that,
cash
sir.
burn. That's all I'm trying to say. Like,
that.
that's part of that
But
cash
what
burn.
is there? How much money did they spend, sir? That's, like you and I, we have a bank account. We press things on our credit cards, minus whatever the bank account. There's the remaining money there, right? How much money are they burning per quarter?
That's not the same every quarter. You know what I mean?
No,
the net
I
cash,
didn't say that. No, I didn't say that.
Gotcha.
I'm just simply asking how much money are they burning on this past quarter, sir?
This past quarter, again, but that's also, you got to keep in mind, a lot of this cash burn in this last quarter was because they bought like almost 30 movie theaters.
Yes, sir.
So
no, absolutely.
if my company
Which is
burns
fantastic
cash,
because it will
I'm
grow
buying
revenue.
like 30 semi-trailers or 30 movie theaters, whatever. I'm not going to be worried about that because I know we've still got positive revenue. Revenue grew by
I don't disagree with
$1.16
Avatar
billion.
coming out and pre-sale tickets and Wakanda Forever. Fuck yeah. I'm agreeing with you on the fundamentals, okay? But speaking is about the financials. Cool?
Sure. So let me just answer that question. How much was a cash burn? It was $121 million in the second quarter. There you go.
So the third quarter was a little bit more, sir, 200, because of the investments that you're suggesting.
Thank you. That's right. Thank you very much. You're right.
Q3. So in Q3, so $200 million, right? So we're not going to go anywhere. We got liquidity. We got money. We're good. Cool. We're good. Like, I promise you, AMC is not going to go anywhere. I can be back here December 1st, 2023. We're fucking good. Okay. But here's the problem, okay, that I disagree with Coryard over there in speaking about the flooding, and with you with the flooding of APE, and because there's buyers, because shorts wants to cover and shit like that, okay? Here's the problem, is that they only paid $168 million in debt, which is about 1.8% of their total debt, okay? So by flooding the market, if they had flooded the market even at $1, okay, that gives them $483 million, okay, sir, like 400 something million dollars, okay. That is 3 times of what debt payment they paid, which then would move AMC stock like an animal because they made a substantial move to clean up their mess of debt, okay, like it would actually favor a lot this move on the AMC side. But what happens to APE when 400 something million shares go in the market?
They get sold off.
Yes.
And then AMC gets to keep that money. It pays off AMC's debt.
Exactly. Because the correlation between the preferred, in this case, sir, in this case between AMC and APE, sir, isn't in a negative picture. If debt is repaid, APE goes down, AMC goes up. If debt doesn't get repaid, AMC, it will still get pops because they're going to produce fantastic revenues from movies that are coming out, and movie chains, and companies, producers do want movies out because they know it's moneymaker, okay? But APE will go up. If we pay the debt, APE doesn't exist anymore. Because APE, at the end of the day, holds the AMC debt. That's what it is purpose for. Like, what?
Okay, I'm just not understanding your point, my friend. I'm sorry.
What does APE produce? What is APE?
Cash money for them.
Correct.
And a short squeeze for me.
How? What is the collateral that APE holds?
APE doesn't necessarily hold a collateral.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. You can't just put a ticker. You can't just put a ticker on the market.
I see what you're saying. So part of the company, right? So every share is a percentage of the company, right?
APE holds debt, sir.
All right, that's fine. But I'm not understanding what your point is, my friend. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. I don't
No,
understand
you're
what
not being
you're trying to
rude
get
at
at.
all. What? You're not being rude at all. It's just that
Okay, cool.
I only stepped in here because I don't agree to like I guess I'm not part of the community. I'm part of the shareholders, and
That's fair, man. I'm a
I
shareholder first
want
and
the
foremost, you know.
stocks that I have remaining of this game that I played. This is my third time playing it. I wanted to squeeze maybe to 15, and I'm good because that gives me a good like over 100% profit, which is cool. But since March, so that's okay profit, you know. But I've been selling cover calls, so I've reduced a lot of my average cost. But
Oh
at the
man, good for you.
Hey, Weeds, can I ask you a
initially,
question real quick? Can I ask a question real quick,
sure,
if you don't mind?
yeah.
If Adam Aaron goes in his backyard tomorrow and finds $10 billion underneath the tree, the oak tree, right? And he says, here's $10 billion. Do you think the short thesis is dead and the shorts cover?
Well, I think if he finds $10 billion, he's gonna buy Norwegian fucking cruise lines
Regardless,
shares.
for the sake of fantasy, right?
Like that's what I think. He's not gonna
Do the
fucking buy
shorts
AMC, which is
cover? Do
bullshit.
the shorts close their position?
Do the shorts close their positions? Well, I
Yes.
hope so because they'll be super
Well,
squeezed.
then you are sadly mistaken because they're
Why?
in too deep. The whole play is they're leveraged so bad that they can't close their position.
No, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Yeah,
No,
that's what it's
no.
all about,
that's the
man.
You
point.
can speak,
This is all about first being
citizen.
over
You can
leveraged.
speak,
That's why we're here.
citizen. You can speak that about GME, and that's what the GME holders are doing by DRS, sir,
Oh,
which
that's
are
nonsense, my
really,
friend. Sorry.
really closing in the fence on the shorts over there. Which right now the shorts are paying over $10 million, I think, a day on interest rates on their short positions. Okay, on GME, not on AMC, sir. No.
Okay, let me ask you this. When you
150 million
DRS a share,
shares is short of AMC, and they're in the positive, sir. There ain't no negative in there.
okay, so when you DRS your shares, where are your shares held?
With the DRS, it's out of the
Right, right.
exchange.
They're
Yeah.
they're not held with the DRS. They're held at the transfer agent. Okay.
Correct,
So
which
say
is the computer share,
Let me
which is
finish.
fucking
Computer share.
yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
And do you know where the transfer
Everybody
agent
uses
shares are
computer
held?
share.
Do you know where their shares are held?
Do I know where computer shares are held?
This isn't a trick question. Yeah. Do you know where they're held? Because I could tell you, and I'm just
like
asking.
You're talking about in Australia, where computer share headquarters is. Like, what are you talking about?
Correct. Yeah. Like who has those shares of computer share right now? The transfer agent.
The computer share has the shares.
Right. And do you know who holds those transfer agent shares? Because it's not computer share. It's Seed and Company. CEDE and Company. Do you know who owns Seed and Company?
No.
Citadel.
No. This owner of Seed and Company is the DTC. So when you DRS your shares, they're held by the transfer agent Computer Share, which is held under the books, the entry books of Seed and Company, which is a subsidiary of the DTC. Therefore, even though Computer Share can legally state that they cannot lend out your shares, that does not mean that where they are held in the book entry form by Seed and Company, a subsidiary of the DTC, that does not mean that Seed and Company cannot loan those shares.
When
That does not
you
mean that the
computer
DTC.
share those,
Let me finish.
DRS those
Let me finish.
shares.
I'm not done, man. Let me finish. I let you speak. Now it's my turn. When you hold your shares in Computer Share, the transfer agent, that transfer agent's book entry is held by Seed and Company, and I can pull that up right now for you on my screen on my computer under Computer Shares FAQ. Go to computershare.com, look up the FAQ, and see where the transfer agent's shares are held. They're held by Seed and Company, which is a subsidiary owned by the DTC. Therefore, Seed and Company and the DTC can lend out all those shares. Does that make sense?
They cannot lend those shares.
Yes, they can, dude.
No, they cannot.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now.
No, they cannot.
Computershare.com.
No, they cannot.
I'm not telling you no. I'm going to show you on my screen that they can.
That's okay.
Watch
That's
this.
okay.
Okay, we'll go to that.
That's okay.
Right now, and we can look it up. Okay, we got a bunch of them here. I might have to just pull up my screenshot because there's so many. I forgot which one it's at, and it'll save me a lot of time with everybody here. to do so. I can pull it up on my Twitter too, so you guys can see it there. And actually, matter of fact, I'll pin it to the top of the page here so that everybody can take a look at it. Because I don't want you guys, don't take my word for it, okay? I want everyone to take a look at this for themselves. All right, so when you put your shares with ComputerShare, even though ComputerShare cannot lend your shares, they can be lent out by Seed and Company and the DTC. And I got it right here.
So
okay? Seed and Company owns all the shares of stock in the United States, and the transfer agents of DRS are held on record in book entry form. Seed and Company owns the books. I'm going to post that right now so you can see it directly from the computershare.com website. I found it finally. So your argument that GameStop's cost to borrow is high because people are DRS is incorrect. That's all I'm trying to say there. So whether it's costing more or less for shorts on GameStop, I don't know how much it's costing shorts right now.
So may I
on
just,
AMC.
I'm
So I
also on
can't.
ComputerShare. I'm in ComputerShare, and I will read this to you right now. Can ComputerShare, the purple little dude?
I know they can't lend your shares. That's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Seed and Company. They're the ones that own that have the transfer agents DRS shares held on record in book entry form.
Are you talking about a subsidiary of DTC for DRS?
The subsidiary of DTC is Seed and Company.
Correct.
And
I'm speaking about ComputerShare, which has nothing to do with DTC, sir.
You're absolutely mistaken. I have it on my screen right now on YouTube. Everybody can see it. There's 1,000 people looking at it. And I'm going to post it right here to the top. All right, hold on.
Sure.
I'm posting it right now, and you can take a look at it.
What is the relationship between ComputerShare and a Seeding Company? Sorry?
The relationship is this. Okay, I just posted it up on the top of the Spacecall.
Sure.
Please scroll up and click that, and then you can read along with me. It says, DTC establishes an account with transfer agents for each issue. These accounts are registered to Seed and Company, DTC's nominee, and they represent on the transfer agent's books the sum total of shares for that issue held by DTC's participants. Their main corresponding books representing their shareholder accounts held in street name. Okay, this means that the shares that are in ComputerShare are registered to the Seed and Company. Seed and Company, if you Google them, is owned by the DTC. Therefore, this is the last time I'm going to say it. Every time people DRS and think that their shares are safe in ComputerShare does not make it so. The shares can be lent by Seed and Company and the DTC. You can find it on computershare.com. I posted the screenshot there because it's underlined in red and it's easier for me to find. But if you go to computershare.com and type in their search bar, FAST system, FAST.
Where does it say that Seeds have a superpower over the ComputerShare rules,
right
which it says that they cannot lend it?
It's computer. They don't. ComputerShare cannot lend it, but Seed and Company can, because the transfer agent's book entry is held on record at Seed and Company.
No,
it's not something where it comes out.
You're just registering the transaction of how to get from point A to point B to ComputerShare, bro. Like, or would it have money laundering?
They're not doing it. It says held on record in book entry form, but you're not understanding that.
Butcher,
and now you're getting kind of ignorant.
My man, I've heard a lot of tinfoil hats. Absolutely,
that's not a tinfoil hat, man. The matter of fact is here. I'm gonna mute you right now. That's not a tinfoil hat. It says right there, these accounts are registered to Seed and Company's DTC's nominee. Okay, and that means that they represent on the transfer agent's books the sum total of shares. This clearly states in English exactly what I just said.
That's just so we can keep record of how many shares is exiting the market and being locked in ComputerShare, sir. So then when other companies utilize a free float calculation,
held on their books.
They know what's happening.
Have you issue a FOIA to Seed and Company and the DTC, and then you'll find out. If you issue them a FOIA, if you really want to,
they're just registering with Seed Company. Oh my goodness, bro.
No, they're not, because it says right there they're held on their books. So they're not just registering; they're literally held on Seed and Company's books.
I think you gave this guy way too much attention. To be honest,
I appreciate you
coming
up.
Citizen, do you got somewhere to go?
No. I just think for someone who's not interested in the squeeze, you're only interested in fundamentals. You're out for the $15. Hang in there for the $15 and get your ass out of the way.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Go ahead, brother.
I appreciate you your time. I got a quick question regarding like after when MOAS goes off and all that stuff. What do you think is going to be the new reserve currency? Like if it's going to be on the gold standard, or if people are going to be buying like a new digital currency, something like that.
If you guys want to jump in, this is tinfoil hat here, because the new reserve currency, it could be the Chinese yuan, yuan, or yuan again, the renminbi. It could be the CBDC, the digital coin in China. It could be the digital CBDC here in America. With BRICS Plus, there may not be a reserve currency anymore. It may be split up to where countries in Asia and Europe are using one, countries in America and Western and Eastern Europe, et cetera, are using another. I don't think that the United States dollar is going to be the central the reserve currency the way it's been for the last 100 years for much longer at all. But I can't say who or which way it's going to be, or if there even will be one. That's just my thought. What do you guys think? Okay, I mean, if you have an opinion, I mean, by all means, you can say it as well, man. What do you think is going to be the next reserve currency?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. My best guess would probably be Bitcoin, if anything. But then again, that's just a wild hair guess.
Maybe. Part of me still thinks that Satoshi is the CIA, and again, that's just a tinfoil hat there, right? I've got no proof for.
Sweet, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
I think they're delaying it. I think the banks, if decentralized Bitcoin and blockchain was to run in its purest form, it gets rid of the banks. And the banks have been there forever. They're not going to allow their hold on the financial system to disappear, and their billions and billions of dollars they make each year. And I think that they're delaying even the MOAS so that they can get these digital currency in place, so that they, in some way, try to control, how much is paid out. And I mean, that's my thinking about all I've seen, and pushing towards this stupid great reset, and we look at what's happening in China, which has set up a central system, and it's nothing more than the pervasive surveillance of all of its citizens to extend their totalitarian control over their population. If you're not a good citizen and do what the state says you should be doing, then there's punitive actions against you. You can lose your travel privileges, your passport. It can hurt you financially. You can't get loans, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, I wouldn't go initially as far as that. Maybe what banks in America might try to do, or anywhere else around the world, but I still think it's the thin edge of the wedge of control for governments and banks over the financial system, so they don't get dealt out.
But do you believe it was essentially planned to be the Chinese yuan? With Saudi Arabia almost last month choosing to trade its oil in Chinese yuan until the mysterious immunity case came from Biden to MBS for the murder of Khashoggi, which was the Washington Post author. Do you believe the White House actually thought it was going to come to fruition, and that last minute immunity to MBS for that saved the day? Don't you believe that?
There's a guy, what's the name of the guy? Ray, I can't remember his last name. And he's got this theory.
Ray Dalio?
Well,
Ray Dalio?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He's about how currency has and domination of world currency has gone on, and how it's changed every 100 years over the last few centuries. And I think that that theory that he puts forward has, I think, has some credibility, and I think with China hoarding the gold, that that it might be the Chinese currency.
I think it was going to be the Chinese until the last minute when Biden stepped in and gave immunity to MBS, because they were all heading to trading their oil in the Chinese yuan, which would essentially almost kill the U.S. dollar, because essentially that's how the U.S. dollar moves, through SWIFT and through the sale of oil around the world.
And I wouldn't rule out the Indian market as well. I mean, it doesn't have quite the industrial base a bit, but it certainly has the population, and it certainly has its industrial base is certainly growing.
Well, India is part of BRICS, don't forget, right?
That's right.
So India was in agreement with what was going on. It was just a matter of getting Saudi Arabia and Turkey online. And the thing with Turkey is, remember, they control a large amount of straits that are happening that do expire with an agreement with NATO, that do expire this year, by the way. So it's going to be very interesting once that expires. Does Turkey all of a sudden leave NATO and go join BRICS as well? I think this is something that can happen, and I think it's something that probably will happen. And as far as weeds, I'm sorry, my friend. I just think that you're poking around, and essentially, Ape was there to basically pay for the debt. So Ape squeezes at American pay for the entire debt, and Ed essentially do almost a reverse split if he wants to put back everything back. But I know you're not in it for a squeeze. You're in for $15. I think if you hang around for a couple of months, you'll get your $15, and you'll be very happy, and you can go on your merry way, and you can DRS your shares wherever you want with your other stock. And by the way, if you DRS your shares, what if the squeeze happens, and all of a sudden you need these blocks, right, in order to sell those shares? Can you imagine? You know what? I wish a lot of people do actually DRS their shares, because for someone like me who's not DRSing their shares, it would make my life completely easy, because I can sell at the absolute top while you wait for DRS to arrange for a block to sell your shares. Actually, it would be perfect, because I don't think we need a lot of people, to be honest with you. I'm sorry to say that. People like you, maybe we.
Well, I mean, you have to be fair. Not everyone under the same tent is here for the same reasons. I certainly don't go for bashing the CEO or bashing the stock. Then why are you under the tent? But not everybody has the same objective for being here, and I think that because people have different objectives, I don't think we need
No,
to.
absolutely, I agree. He's after the $15, and he'll be break even.
Yeah,
Is what
well,
he said, or he'll be profitable, and good for him, right?
That's his objective, and that's fair enough. And I don't think we have to come down on people because they have a different objective. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely agree.
All right, check. You guys hear me okay? I have a bit of issue with my microphone. Just wondering if everybody can hear me here.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So I heard what you guys were saying here. I had to restart my phone real quick for like the 5th time. I'm pretty sure I'm under some sort of DDoS attack over here, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'll just fix my VPN later. But yeah, I think you guys bring some great points. Not everyone's here for the same reason. Some people are looking for, $15, $30, $50, $100 a share. Some people want to DRS. Some people don't. I don't give a fuck what you do with your money. I just want you to be educated. And the fact of the matter is that, like, as far as DRS goes, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear to me, and you can interpret it differently if you want and DRS your shares. I don't give a shit. But yeah, I feel, they don't sell in pre-market. They don't sell in after hours. If they want to, Computer Share can cancel your trade for any reason. For any reason. Look it up in their FAQ as well. It says it in there, whether it threatens their solve. you to mail in a new order, and you would have to mail it in by snail mail, not email. And so how long is that going to take? Do you think the squeeze will be over by the time you get to sell those shares? Maybe. And then a lot of people say, oh yeah, well, like those are shares that I don't really need or that I plan to hold long term till after the squeeze anyway. Fair enough if that's what you want to do. And then other people are saying, well, yeah, you'll be able to sell quickly, whatever. If you think so, then that's fine. Do what you want. We're not here to tell people what to do with their money or what to think. I'm just showing you the information that's really clear to me and really clear to a lot of people so that they can do their own due diligence and see that the computer shares are held in book entry form on record at the seeding company, which is a DTC subsidiary. So even though Ortex can claim that they get their data directly from the exchanges, but it's only 85% of the data, and any of the information to the data, the exchange reported information by shorts is self-reported twice a month, and it's kind of the same thing there. So the Ortex can claim that they have accurate data that's not self-reported, comes directly from the exchanges, sure, but the exchanges get that data self-reported by the shorts twice a month. And same thing with ComputerShare. ComputerShare can legally claim that they can't lend your shares, but they're held on record in book entry form in the seeding company. And then seeding company is a subsidiary of DTC. They can lend out your shares and only they can recall them once they need to give them back to you after you've tried to put your sale up and they cancel your sale and you have to mail in your fucking request, and they can issue. They don't have to sell it at your price. They sell it at whatever price they want. So there's a lot of things that people need to do a better job of looking into, And so that's why I think everyone should. Fuck, I got disconnected again. All right, maybe I'm still here. I don't know what the hell this shit's acting a fucking fool on me right now. I might have to.
No, you're here.
We
Okay,
can hear you.
good.
We can hear you, Marcel.
Appreciate that. So yeah, up in the next 10 minutes here. You guys got anything else you want to discuss?
Now you sound like you're in a large tube, Marcel.
Yeah, that's like the 10th time that's happened. I'm just gonna say that I think it's time to wrap it up. We've been going at this for 4 hours and sorry
You're roboting really bad. Can't understand you.
I'm gonna restart real quick.
I think he said he's going to close the space. Is that what he said?
I didn't catch it. I didn't hear what he said, citizen.
I'm too busy looking at weeds. He's giving thumbs down. I don't know why.
I'm gonna restart really quick.
I know that guy said he was holding his $8 to $15. I don't know what you guys, but I'm holding way higher than that.
To each his own. As Courier said, I agree with him. To each his own. He's still giving me thumbs down. I don't know why. Okay, you don't agree. Whatever. I'm sorry.
You can't help somebody that just want to be right. We're all here for different reasons, like you said. But some people just want to be right.
I think essentially this play has so many investors that it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. What's going to happen is going to happen. Eventually it will squeeze, whether it's someone like Weeds or anybody else who leaves. The play's too big now, I think.
I agree. Yeah, man. This is gonna be a fun one here. If anybody else has any more questions, we could take maybe just a couple more questions. I think I got like 8 or 9 minutes left in me here. We've been going almost 4 hours, and I've had an absolute blast. I'd like to thank everybody who stepped up to speak, everybody who stepped up to help co-host. You guys have been absolutely fabulous. I'd like to do this a little bit more often because I've had a great time. I am extremely mentally engaged with you all, and it's been great hearing your opinions and your insights, including weeds. I want you to know, man, that I do appreciate everything you said and everything, but when I can't even get a word in because you're laughing all loud and trying to talk over me, then we got a problem. Then it turns into a bit of a Matt Kors situation where, you know, it's like I've got to keep talking to stammer over you, to kind of steamroll you every time because you won't let me finish my point. That's not really a conversation. That's an argument. And I'm all for having good conversation with retail investors because I am one, you know, and that's all I want. I want to learn. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. Just like you guys have seen me do on video and you've seen me do on Twitter, and I've come out and issued public apologies when I make mistakes because I'm human and we're all human and we all commit errors and we're all entitled to see things differently. You know, if you see $5 billion of debt as a bad thing, that's fine. I see increasing revenue, $1.2 billion in revenue almost in the second quarter for AMC, and a little bit lower in Q3 because there was a vastly fewer movies out there, you know. But that's okay because like look at AT&T, they make shitloads of money and they've got $166 billion in debt. Ford's got 100 billion, GM's got 73 billion, CVS Pharmacy for fuck's sake has 71.5 billion. Comcast has 107 billion, Verizon's 105 billion, Charter Communications has $69 billion, General Electric has $95 billion, United Technologies has $41 billion in debt, CAT has $25 billion, even UPS has $20 billion in debt. Procter & Gamble, one of the highest, a very expensive stock, they have $21 billion in debt, you know, and they made huge profits. That's just companies operate with debt all the time. And they roll them over. And just because they roll over their debt, that doesn't mean that they're just going to go bankrupt because they've still got revenue and income and profits. And even if they're operating at a net loss, they're still on the stock market. They're publicly owned. They can issue more shares. Those shares can be used to raise money. They can have various rounds. Dilution can occur. And as we've seen in January and in May of 2021, every time Adam Aaron sells shares of AMC, that causes the stock price to go up. Therefore, it would be only obvious for one to realize that if it was confirmed by Fidelity that for every short on AMC when the stock dividend split occurred, there was also one short of APE, one APE short. Therefore, that caused a lot of failures to deliver, a lot of short interest, a lot of new swaps and derivatives that had to be created in married puts and synthetic shares, rehypothecations of those shares, married puts, married calls, wash sales, and spoofing, and so on that had to occur to bring the price of APE down. And they've succeeded in bringing the price of APE down because they've managed to convince a lot of people that buying and owning APE is a bad idea, which I think is absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I understand that, oh, well, the price is going down, so I'll just sell now and buy later. That's fine. So if
You've disappeared, Marcel.
then fucking do that if that's what you want to do. I'm not your boss, you know, like I'm not your mom to tell you what to do. But if you want you tell yourself, oh, I should have sold at $10 and bought back in at $1. If that's how you feel, why don't you sell at $1 and buy back in at 10 cents? It's still the same thing. It's a you know, 10xing the number of shares that you get because nobody knows if it's going to go up or down. And I'm not going to take the chance of selling my fucking AMC or my APE and then having it fucking run away from me the next day. You know, like that's fucking retarded. So in my opinion, again, that's just me. You know, I've been trading for 20 years. You know, I started trading before I was even 18, technically, you know, and not even my own money. I was just help managing, you know, like my parents' 401ks and things like that. So it's not like I was doing anything illegal. I was just helping them with deciding on their trades and things like that. I wasn't doing it for them. Let's put it that way. Because I've been learning this since I was a young kid. I was lucky enough to have, you know, aunts and uncles and things like that pushed, you know, education on me and showed me how to trade their 401k just to educate me. And that allowed me to get a head start on a lot of people. You know, that being said, I'm not about to sell out of my fucking shares of AMC, which is an extremely volatile stock, or APE, because they're both one and the same. You know, dilution, you know, guys like Matt Kors want to argue that dilution occurred because there was you know, the shares doubled. Yeah, well, not really, because my percentage didn't reduce. My percentage of ownership of the company is not reduced. Even though the shares of AMC and APE doubled, the shares of that I had in my account also doubled. Therefore, I'm still the same percentage owner as I was previously. So I don't really fucking care. You know, the fact that APE was pushed down and AMC was not, for me, is just a clear indication of just how dangerous APE is. And if there's a merger, buyout, or share recall, or anything else, or short squeezes or exercise shares or a market crash or whatever you fucking want to happen, whatever does happen, causes APE to squeeze. It will, in my opinion, and again, I'm not a financial advisor, but it will, in my opinion, cause the AMC1 derivatives basket to run, just like you guys saw run today. AMC1, and APE was still a little bit lower down. You know what I mean? Because it was being suppressed. There was over 80 million shares of APE traded today, when the daily average was only 17 million. Therefore, it's obvious that the price was run up hard, and then it was shorted down or spoofed back down, or wash sales occurred between shares to bring the APE price back down. That's the market fuckery we're dealing with. So on that note, I would just like to thank everybody in here. If you guys have another question or two, we could just do that. If you guys have anything to say while you guys are up here, by all means, go ahead, but please keep it short. I got to get going.
I think you said everything, Marcel. Well done.
Yeah, well done, Marcel.
Thank you guys.
Good
Courier, Citizen, Rafiki, all of you guys that came up, including Weeds. I appreciate the conversation. You guys have been incredible. I'd like to thank all you retail investors for joining us, AMC, APEs, and also other stocks, because I also own other meme stocks, like GameStop, MMAT, BBIG, Sundial, and so on. Like, I'm not even going to name them all. You know what I mean? I own a shitload of meme stocks, but the vast majority is in AMC and, other VIX contracts, SPY puts, things like that, and these meme stocks. So I know where my loyalties lie, and I'm not going to stick around in a sinking ship. You know what I mean? If the ship is sinking, I will be the first one to piece the fuck out and say, hey guys, I wish you luck, but I'm out. Or I might not, I would only say that out of respect for everybody that follows me, because then they'd be wondering where the hell I went. But I'm not fucking leaving. The fundamentals have gotten better. AMC paid off their debt. They saved hundreds of millions of dollars. They got a great interest rate, considering they took out more money, and it only increased by a small fraction of a percentage of the federal basis points, the federal interest rate increases that occurred. So it was a great fucking deal all around by Adam Aaron and the board of directors. And that being said, I think we're all going to be filthy motherfucking rich, fabulously, generationally wealthy.
I'll try to handle it.
That's the hardest part for people is when they come from money, or they come from not having money, like even such as myself, was being poor my whole life, and having to earn and work my way for several decades as a small business owner, and running at a loss and not taking a vacation for 10 fucking years. Whereas all my friends were buying homes and going on vacation and that and this and that. The majority of them are fucking living paycheck to paycheck, and I'm fucking set. I'm set for life. But I'm not here in the stock market for millions. I'm not even here for hundreds of millions. I'm here for billions with an S. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Peace out, my friends. Thanks.
I think it's time to blow this thing. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Getting fucking rich. I want my fucking money. Griffin, I want my fucking money. Yo, motherfucker. Shit, we're gonna be so fucking rich. Great. Damn it, we're gonna be so fucking rich. I want my fucking money.
You're an original,
Hey,
aren't
yelling,
you?
cowboy. Give me the fucking money. Get the goddamn money printer out. rich. Get the goddamn money printer out.